Yes, this is a Freak 24, and of course, it is our daily political talk where we are discussing some of the top stories here in our country, Kenya. You know, we have political tension that is happening in this country. As you can see in your screens there, we are having a lot of tensions. And where do this tension come from? This tension is coming from the impeachment of Gashagwa. You know, Gashagwa has been impeached by the parliament. And also, the Senate is now the one which might save him or not, or the judiciary led by Mother Gome. Today we saw the judges who will be hearing the case of Gashagwa, and also who will determine whether it is the high time that Gashagwa must go home or who is going home. Elsewhere, we are seeing that Gashagwa yesterday he spoke in church around Embu, whereby he was addressing the situation, but he tried to escape the questions about his impeachment motion. Also, the second lady, that is Dorcas Gashagwa, talked about it, and from the look, then you can see the way she was talking together with her husband Gashagwa. They were annoyed by what happened. Leaders are saying that whatever happened in the parliament was so quick to impeach a very top politician in this country, the likes of Deputy President. We are going to discuss all those here in Afrique 24. And if you are joining us for the first time, you can know that this is your political talk here. We're discussing some of the top stories. And for people in East Africa, it is 35 minutes past 10 o'clock. I know others are following from the United States of America. The difference of 8 hours, either you are in the city of UK, United Kingdom, following from the California. Good evening, wherever you are following. Good morning. This is Afrique 24. And I'm not alone here. I'm joined by Gijana Town. I want Gijana Town to give us a bit of introduction as we start our show. And welcome him for our tonight show.
Yes. That's my name in the political circles, Kijana Town, because hii unaona inasemekana tension ni mchezo ya town bwana. So kijana na town anajua mchezo wa tao. Gashagwa and Ruto sons of Moi, watoto wa Moi. Mmoja kunasemekana hata akona genes za Moi kama Gashagwa, mwingine ni mtoto wa kisiasa wa Moi. What I know is happening, and this is what is going to reveal itself in the next few days, is that Gachagua is going to be saved by the Senate. He might be able to get 17 senators, and that will have thrown the impeachment into disarray. But if by bad luck he is impeached, I believe Gachagua is a well-to-do person. I think he has enough resources, which he has stolen. He can be able to buy 2-3 judges to postpone the impeachment. So those who are celebrating, I think it's still very early. I believe that Gachagua has the photocopy of the original book of Moi playbook. Ni vile tu Ruto ako na copy ile original ambayo iko na pages zote, lakini Gachagua ako na photocopy ambayo haina pages zingine, lakini what I know is that they will outdo each other. This is going to be the biggest blunder of this regime. And I say so because we would have gone to the side of the president if he was doing something meaningful in this country. But you can tell that if you are on the ground, and I know you're in ground, born in the Greti, nothing is working. Yeah? The shisha shit. Shisha shit is not working. Today they had to send their permanent secretary to bribe faith-based hospitals, not to make an announcement of disassociating with themselves with SHA. There is a school funding problem. There is many undone issues. We have mortgaged our country to the Indians. And therefore, for lack of a better word, I am of the opinion that we support Gachagua in this, not because we love Gachagua, because we want this marriage to fail. And we want this government to fail. And that is what people do. If you're interested in somebody's wife, you make sure that you umeingilia katikati. And therefore, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Me, for now, Gachagua is my friend, not because he's Kikuyu. I didn't vote for him. In fact, I just hate him with the same passion I hate Ruto. But I want him to destroy the very foundation of this regime, which lacks direction, which lacks in every way. Kwa hivyo, kwa maoni yangu, ndugu yangu, I'll tell you this. This is going to be an interesting week. I am looking at it this way. Unless Senate, the way I look at them, I think we can say they are less corrupt. They are a little bit mature, and kidogo they can reason. Because I think they are going not to adjudicate and oversee an impeachment that is brought about by bedroom wars, where people are fighting over pencils and spoons and deals, and then they are saying, now I'll use the constitution to impeach you. English people say that you don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. I believe that Gachagua is in a glass house and Ruto is in a glass house. And these politicians are in a glass house. So when you try to throw stones, all the houses come down. Kwa hivyo kwa maoni yangu, I'm a little bit interested because I know, you see, let me tell you something. Let's just for 1 minute imagine the vice president or the deputy president was Raila Amolo Odinga. Yeah? Is Raila Amolo Odinga, and the president is Ruto, and he wants to impeach Raila Amolo Odinga. I think you know what can happen. The country will be at a standstill. Nothing will happen because you don't touch Agwambo. You don't touch Baba. But that is emotional, because what will happen is that all the people who love Baba will be on the street trying to stop the impeachment. But now, Gachagua akufe achinjwe, it doesn't matter what happens to him. The people from the mountain cannot fight in the streets for him. It is not possible. They will just wait for the D-Day of elections. So Gachagua has to be in power to fight Ruto, because immediately he is impeached and there is no recourse. Then Mr. Ruto is going to open what we call the treasoners, charges, and this guy is going to suffer a lot. So he needs to just continue being in power, just like Ruto was in power, akisumbua Uhuru, and then na mapikipiki zake na kila kitu. That is what will help him. But he should not depend on the people from the mountain. People of the mountain, they don't fight for anybody. They vote and they disappear. Kwa hivyo, it's an interesting week, bro. But in my own estimation, I think hii kitu itakwama kwa Senate. I'm looking at the senators Gachagua has. I think he has 11 in the bag. He only needs 5 or 6, which with the minds of fucking Sifuna, Omutata, Onyonka, Terangei, we might see something that is unheard of. So kwa hawa machache bro, wacha tutafute popcorn hii wiki, popcorn mingi, popcorn. Thank you. Ita watu bwana.
Yeah, they are coming. So this is what is happening. Gachagua might be saved in the Senate. Some of the people are saying that this is just atmosphere that is being set for Kenyans so that they can sign those big deals for Adani, so that they can lure Kenyans. By the time they come back together, they will all capture the votes for the Kenyans because they have already did that during the 2022 general election. This is Ruto who said that he will not accept his deputy to be humiliated the same way he was done by the former government. Something that some of the Kenyans are saying, maybe this is a game of hide and seek, something that might happen in the year 2026. When they come together, then this will be a big strategy for 2027. Others are saying, what will happen if the Senate or the judiciary saves William, that is Gachagua? Will they work together? That is Ruto and Gachagua.
Now, supposing that you get elected in August, and somewhere down the road, 2 years, 3 years, you have a problem with your deputy, Bwana Rigathi Gachagua, for whatever reason, and you disagree completely, almost in the same manner that has happened right now, whichever direction it comes from, what are you going to do?
I want to tell you, Joe, that what you have said will never happen. It will not happen.
It doesn't just depend on yourself.
I want to tell you that I will not allow, for example, my running mate or my deputy president to be humiliated by junior staff. I would not want a situation where clear responsibility. In fact, I have said it as much, and I have said I have committed myself in writing that there are responsibilities my deputy will carry. Even when we had a vice president always chaired cabinet committees, always did certain things. And I want to promise you that my deputy president will be a very busy person.
But Bwana DP, many Kenyans will remember the relationship you had with President Kenyatta at the start. You wore the same sort of shirts. You interviewed CSS together. You did many things together.
I think and so you will not get very far, Joe, with this unless you go and ask Uhuru Kenyatta.
No. I'm asking the deputy president.
Because I have told you.
You are seeking to be president of Kenya.
Yes. I have told you what I will do with my deputy president. I have put it in writing that the first assignment
if he goes rogue, what would you do? Because you can't control what he will do.
The first assignment, if my deputy president goes rogue, there is the law. If he, for example, abuses his office, there is the law. The law will take its course. If he runs, if he does things that are unconstitutional, there is a way a deputy president is dealt with by the law. But I want to promise you that I will do everything possible to make sure the deputy president's office, which is a constitutional office, is a functional office that serves the people of Kenya.
That is President William Ruto saying he will not accept his deputy to go through humiliation that he went through. He will not agree, not unless the deputy has done something that is so bad. But what has Gachagua done? Now he has even been humiliated to the parliament, whereby he was impeached, waiting for the Senate. The Senate is the one that is going to determine whether they are going to impeach him or not. And also, the judiciary led by Mother Koome is going to determine whether they are going to impeach him or not. Some of the MPs during the hearing of Gachagua, they said that it is not only Gachagua who is very corrupt. I think even the boss is the corrupt person. They're saying boss is the one who should lead, who should be the leading person during this impeachment. Gachagua also said that he learned from the boss some of the things that were happening. He learned them from the boss. He said that he even had the boss confronting the IG and also the DPP. He's learning from the boss, but no one brought the boss into the parliament for the impeachment. Bui, this is what Robert Bui had to say during the hearing of Gachagua and during his impeachment.
I said that this government is rudderless, is leaderless, is planless. And Mr. Speaker is also merciless because within a very short time, the center can no longer hold. Mr. Speaker, former Senator, now Governor James Orengo, famously said in Senate that governments eat their own people. Former leader of majority of the National Assembly, Duale, was eaten by his government. Today is a CS. Former Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Kithure Kindiki, was eaten by his government. Now he's also a CS. Former Chair of Budget of this National Assembly was eaten by his government. Today is the majority leader. I don't know. We are now eating Rigiji. Where will he end up? Mr. Speaker, I have an issue of concern, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, is the Deputy Leader of Minority to assert that I was eaten by my own government, Honorable Speaker, whereas he knows I was never eaten by any government. I only stood firm against tyranny. I stood firm against the bullying that I experienced under that regime. The same bullying I have stood firm against a deputy president today who has been bullying members of parliament. And I have only put my chest forward to defend the rights of all these members, including the Honorable Robert Bui, who was Honorable Speaker, when the Deputy President visited Kathiani. He said to the Honorable Bui that these Kambas are too few. They can never make a president. Kalonzo can never be anything. How can you defend a person who has disdain for Kalonzo Musyoka, a former vice president of this country? Mbui.
Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I love the passion and the humor in the majority leader. But Mr. Speaker, I'm also impressed by the energy that I've seen in this house, the vigor, the passion from morning. I mean, it is a first bill, or rather it's a first motion, where this House has gone up to public participation in the constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I only wish that the energy that we are expending here to send a question to all Kenyans about one individual was being used to fight the issues that are failing us in our education, in our health sector. People here, the cost of living has gone too high. People have no jobs. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that this House should passionately deal with. But Mr. Speaker, for a whole day, and from, I don't know, even the last week or 2 weeks, to deal with one matter, Mr. Speaker, I think that we are losing direction. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we deal with the things that are affecting our people. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the education sector, I talked about it here the other day. We don't even have classes for grade 9 going into JSS. Mr. Speaker, the funding model for university has failed. Mr. Speaker, the insurance sector, NHIF, is having a problem, Mr. Speaker. How then do we spend taxpayers' money and time to come and deal with a matter of one single individual, Mr. Speaker? Now we are told that this person, Mr. Speaker, is a tribalist. But Mr. Speaker, those comments that he made, yesterday he made it very clear. And I was shocked. I was very shocked, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, to realize that in fact Kenya Kwanza was actually a company that is limited by shares and that people negotiated shares for themselves. The mover of the motion is a member of MCCP. MCCP negotiated shares for Lower Eastern. Mr. Speaker, because we had 2 cabinet secretaries in this government. Now, Mr. Speaker, we only have 1. And I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, actions speak louder than words. The deputy president may have said that he is a shareholder and there are issues about his community, but if you look at the appointments that are being made in Kenya, then you will realize that the person of the president himself is the one who is the biggest troublist, Mr. Speaker, because he's appointing people from his own community for every position. Mr. Speaker, if we have to find a situation where a school has failed, you do not fire the deputy principal. You get rid of the principal. Our problem is not the deputy, it is the head
Yes,
himself.
Farah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, Farah.
Mr. Speaker,
That is a Bui. Bui saying that they don't find the problem with Gachagua. The problem is the driver. The driver, who is the president, is the one who should be beached. That is a section of members of parliament chanting there, Ruto must go. And it is during the hearing of the Gachagua case, whereby during the impeachment, that MP said that Gachagua has nothing to do when it comes to the impeachment because he has done nothing that can make him go home. That is regarding Gachagua impeachment motion that was happening in the parliament. And they're saying that if we take away the boss, then things are going to be in the right direction. That is Robert Boy during the hearing of Rigathi Gachagua in the parliament. Gachagua now has been impeached, so a section of people in the country Kenya saying Kindiki is the one to replace Gachagua. You remember during the time that is earlier last month, where members of parliament and also MCAs from the Mount Kenya region, they said that this is the high time that we give support to Kindiki because we believe that we gave Gachagua that opportunity to link the region together with the president, but still he has not been active. So we think that is a section of members of parliament saying that they think that Gachagua has failed as a leader in the region. If you're joining the conversation for the first time, you can tell us what do you think is making this political tension in this country, Kenya. You can join us through the comment section there, Afrek24 YouTube, in all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also X. You join us through the comment section here and tell us what is your view. What do you think about the current situation in this country? And do you support it? The deputy president looks so happy. Yesterday, he was in church around Embu, and the day before yesterday, he was seen in the social media in Nairobi, interacting with most of people and very happy. Is this real, or this is just something that is happening to lure the atmosphere of Kenyans? Remember, this is a Freak 24 Boniface Kimanzi here, and we are getting to know some of the top stories here in Freak 24 as we roast and determine who do you think is going to replace Kithure Kindiki, Anne Waiguru. Raila Amolo Odinga might fail to join the AU chairmanship and maybe come back, and Ruto might give us a surprise that he might he might recruit Raila Amolo Odinga for the DP president. We had the sentiments of Gachagua when the time we formed this broad-based government in the country, Kenya. He was silent for a while, but at the end of the day, he responded and said the boss told him that they want to bring this broad-based government. That broad-based government is the one that led to formation of the cabinet secretaries from UDA and ODM, whereby the GC movement was stopped, the NAS bill was dropped, and the country was back in peaceful situation. Is that the main point? Is that the starting point where Gachagua was to impeached? The family was good. When I'm saying about family here, I'm talking about the Huda government led by William Samoei Ruto. It's during this time whereby the former Secretary General of the party, Cleophas Malala, was thrown out of the office. Is that the main source of the impeachment of Gachagua? Some of the members of parliament in Mount Kenya region, they have said that they are not supporting this. Some of the leaders, the likes of Jeremiah Kioni, they have said it is high time that we stop this. It is high time that we say Luere. Hey, this is something that is happening in this country, Kenya. You support this? Remember, Gachagua yesterday spoke. I want us to listen to what he had to say in that church.
High school ambayo ilikuwa ni shule imedhaminiwa na diocese ya Mount Kenya East wakati huo chini ya the late Reverend Gitari. Kwa hivyo sisi wote tukiwa hapo Kenyaga High School tulikuwa chini ya Mount Kenya East Diocese under the late bishop. So saa ile nimeondoka nikarudi tena nikiwa dio hapo Gichogo mwaka wa 1990. Saa ile hii diocese iligawa ndio tupate ya Kirinyaga na ya Embu pia nilikuwa area. Kwa hivyo nikija hapa kusherekea miaka 34, I'm in the right place at the right time. Baba Askofu na kanisa lote katika diocese, nashukuru nyinyi kwa kazi nzuri ya kuendelea kuchunga watu wetu, kuwapatia chakula ya roho, kuwasaidia, kusimamia mashule na kazi nzuri ambaye kanisa letu la Kristo linafanya ndani ya wananchi wetu. Serikali na kanisa ni kitu kimoja kwa sababu sisi zote tunahudumia watu moja. Kwa hivyo mimi yangu tu ni kusema tumeshukuru sana. Right Reverend Wario, your sermon was spot on. Umetujenga sana. Na tumepata nguvu. Na tunataka tuseme tumeshukuru sana. Yale yote ambayo inaendelea Kenya msijali. Si ndio? Si iko Mungu mbinguni? Sisi ni Wakristo na tunamwamini Mwenyezi Mungu. Na Mungu atafanya mapenzi yake. Binadamu wanaweza panga mambo mingi lakini iko Mungu mbinguni. Muendelee kutuombea. Muendelee kuombea nchi yetu. Sisi tulichaguliwa na watu wengi hawa ya Embu. Si ndio? Sijui kama tawezekana tulichaguliwa na hii watu yote tufukuzwe na watu wachache. Hiyo ni haki kweli watu ya Embu? Na ndio mimi namshukuru huyu mjumbe wenu Getonga Mukunji, alipiga kura, alisikiza watu wa Embu vile wanase. Hata huyu Dabwen alikuwa ameandika barua, akakuja Embu, akasikiza watu, akapinduka. Akafuata vile wananchi wanafanya nini? Kwa sababu sisi zote ni watu ya kuchaguliwa. Na ni mzuri usikize ile watu ambao wamefanya nini? Kwa hivyo watu wa Embu mlichagua mimi na President William Ruto, mkatupatia kura zenu zote. Tungeuliza uamuzi wa raia uheshimike. Kwa sababu raia wanapiga kura miaka 5. Na ni mzuri kuheshimu uamuzi wa nini? Lakini sisi tuna imani kubwa sana na mahakama zetu. Our judiciary is very professional, and I have no doubt in my mind that our eminent judges will protect and uphold the Constitution, the rule of law, and always make sure that the will of the people is sovereign. Na tukiwa, that is the way a good country runs. So watu wa Kenya wako na imani sana, and they have faith that our courts of law will protect and uphold our Constitution, and most importantly, always protect the will of the people, because the people are supreme. Na tukifuata hiyo, we'll have a good country. Irrespective ya ile itatokea, nataka kuuliza amani katika hii Embu, katika Mlima Kenya, katika Kenya nzima. Sisi tuko na nchi ya Kenya, hatuna nchi nyingine, na hii nchi ni yetu. Sisi tupendane, tukue na amani, tukiendelea kufanya kazi zetu, kwa sababu hiyo ndio mambo ile muhimu. Lakini yote naendelea, sisi imani yetu ni ya kwamba Ngai arĩ gĩtĩ-inĩ gĩake kĩonene na gĩothingu, na Ngai ndahotagwo. Nĩtiguo tũina rwĩmbo rũmwe na ibuku rĩu rĩakwa, nipatie hiyo gita rwĩmbo rwa kũinĩra nyimbo cia kuinĩra Ngai, rwĩmbo 308 wĩhoke Mwathani rũgendo-inĩ. Rũgamai. Wĩhoke Mwathani rũgendo-inĩ, na mũmenyewe gũtarĩ nganja, wĩnawona thĩna tiga guoya, wĩguoko-inĩ gwake ndũkahotwo.
Hey, they say you must always have a partner who is supportive the same way Dr. Gachagua is supporting his husband during the hard times. So if you're following the conversation here, you should always make sure that your wife is the best supportive partner you have. Dr. Gachagua is there making sure that the husband has that shoulder to lean on. So, you know, this is the tough times of Gachagua after what happened during the impeachment. And he said that during that church congregation there, he said, this is the time that we should respect the rule of law. He has a lot of trust when it comes to the judiciary, and very sure things are going to be okay during that hearing in the judiciary. He really trusts what the judiciary is going to say. And he doesn't have problem with what is happening in this country. That is Gachagua during that church meeting at Embu, whereby he was accompanied by some of the loyal followers, the likes of Ketu Waruguru, you know, Ketu Waruguru, the governor of Nyeri, that is Mutai Kaiga, and Gujiri. Those are some of the loyal followers who have been making sure that the son of the mountain has been protected. Yesterday, he said that he doesn't have problems with what is happening in the country. And all of these are happening because he spoke the truth. He again repeated that during the church in Embu, that he was impeached because of saying the truth. But he has strong trust when it comes to the impeachment hearing by the court. He has the respect for the rule of law. That is Gachagua yesterday in Embu. I'm joined by Buru here, and of course, Buru is our number one loyal follower too of Africa 24, and he has been there and making sure that we have these shows every day. And he is one of the top management here. Welcome, Buru, in Africa 24. You tell us where you are following the conversation from, and why do we have this tension, political tension in this country? And after listening to what Gachagua said yesterday in Embu, what do you have to say? Because he looks so relaxed, he looks so composed, even the smile in the face during that chat attendance there, you can tell that maybe something bad did not happen. Is this hide and seek game?
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for this opportunity. And I want to say this, that when President William Ruto and leaders who were planning the impeachment, when they were doing that, they underestimated the strength, the political strength of Rigathi Gachagua. And up to now, I think the president is regretting this process that they started. You have asked me a very good question. Why are we having the political tensions in the country? It is because the president and those who were planning to impeach the deputy president underestimated the strength of the deputy president. And maybe it's because he looks weak. Maybe it is because they thought they would be in a position to alienate him from the other parts of Kenya and brand him as a Mount Kenya project. And they were hoping by saying that Gachagua is tribal, that that will weaken him even more. And I also think they were expecting him, after being pressurized by the parliament, that he was going to resign in order to save his political career. But as you have seen, this deputy president that seemed very weak, that Ruto thought he can just squeeze him and kick him out, he has stood his ground boldly, and he has said he is going to fight to the end. So it is not going to be very easy for the president, because he has what it takes to fight. He has what it takes to stand still against the oppression of his boss, President William Ruto. So the fact that they underestimated his strength, I can say politically, that was a serious miscalculation. This guy has money. This guy has character. He is so bold. He is so courageous. And I know he is going to withstand any kind of battle that the president and his team will bring to him. And as I said the other day, the president needs to rethink what he has done, not to Gachagua, but to himself. Because there is no way. I hear some people say that the president doesn't care about Mount Kenya support anymore. He cares so much, because politics, we say it's a game of numbers. Central Kenya was a stronghold of our president. And there is no wise politician who would risk losing such a place where we say that around 43% of the votes that made William Ruto, almost 50%, came from central Kenya. A wise politician cannot risk losing such a ground to go and play the game of patapotea, to go and gamble with the votes of Nyanza, where he is not assured that Raila Odinga is going to support him. So the people who told the president that the deputy president is very weak politically, he is just trying to build himself, he is not well known, he is not embraced, they deceived the president. And I can tell right now the president knows that he made a miscalculation. I think yesterday or today, Kimani Ichung'wah was trying to address the people, and people chased him away from Kiambu. He was almost being beaten up. He had run for his dear life. And that is what is happening to all those who voted yes for the impeachment of the deputy president. It is very hard for them. I am here in Central, Kiambu in specific, and the people are very bitter with the president. One, because he has done exactly what he had promised the people that he would never do. He said he would never mistreat his deputy. He said he would never let his deputy go through what he went through. But what he has done to his deputy is worse than what President Uhuru Kenyatta did to him. To that extent, I think I'm right to say that we have a hypocritical president who says what he does not mean. And whatever he says he will do, just know he will do opposite. Yesterday he was saying how much determined he is to transform the country. Does impeaching your deputy president tantamount to transforming the country? He is just wasting our time. It's over 2 years. He has been in these fights with the former prime minister. Then he had another fight with Gen Zs. And now he has started a fight by himself. His own invitation. This fight, you see, it has been invited by the president himself. So whom is he going to blame when he fail to perform and fulfill the promises that he made to Kenyans? Because we don't know the direction this fight is likely to take. We might even be having tribal clashes. We might even, if we are not careful, we might even have bloodshed in this country because of having a president who believes that he must have his way, who is becoming a dictator every day. Right now, he feels he is very strong because the former prime minister is on his side. What he didn't ask himself, what if the ODM party decide to desert him? Where will he be? Because he is not assured. He has done what we call gambling. He is gambling with leadership. And what he has done, he has really destroyed himself. He has really destroyed himself. And I want to say this, those people who betrayed the the deputy president, they will have a very hard time even to regain their position in 2027. Because in central Kenya, the people support the person who is on top. And anybody who defies him is shown the door. And I want to remind you, Kimanzi, we had very strong politicians who were not even doing much campaign, like the Nobel Prize winner, Wangari Maathai. She was loved, she was embraced in this central Kenya. But she defied the former President Kibaki. Do you know what happened? People rejected her totally. Mother Karua, there was a time she was a very strong politician. She was overwhelmingly supported. She was not even doing campaign at Kishogo. She had confidence. She would tell people, I am sure I am going to be re-elected. So for her, she was not even concentrating campaigning as a member of parliament. She was concentrating campaigning for the president. But the moment she resigned from the position of Chief Justice that she was given by Kibaki, from that day up to date, she has been struggling. She has been studying for political positions, but she has always failed. So, who is Kimani Ichung'wah, who feels that he is very strong? He is so arrogant. We can see pride in him, even when he's talking. The only thing I fear is God and hot porridge. That if I was able to deal with Uhuru, I am going to deal with Gachagua. But today, he is facing the wrath of the people. I saw him run to save his life. So let the president think and rethink. Internet in a fail.
You're on
Go ahead,
mute.
Kimanzi.
Buru umepotea kwani? So we're joined. Thank you so much, Buru. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. And he's saying that the president has made a big mistake by eliminating his deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, during this time. It is that time that the president he rethinks so that he can bring back the honest man from the Mount Kenya region. And this is after the deputy that he has a big trust when it comes to this judiciary and the Senate. Maybe these two are going to save him. We are discussing some of the political tensions here in Kenya, and to be specific, after what happened. We also saw today the governor of Kericho, he survived impeachment. We also witnessed Kawira Mwangasa. You know, a lot of things are happening. Mzalendo, you can give us your opening statements on the current situation in the country, Kenya. Because from what we have seen yesterday and today, then you can tell maybe this is just an atmosphere that is passing by. Because the way the DP spoke yesterday at Embu, he was very composed, relaxed, and happy. We played the clip here of him speaking, and he said that he is comfortable with what happened. The most important thing is we pray for the country, Kenya. Zelendo, do you believe this is just an atmosphere that is being created for Kenyans so that they can lure and they can capture their attentions? Maybe they are trying to give us some of the best PR.
Right. Thank you, Kimbanzi. I hope you are doing fine. How are you, Mburu? Good evening. I'm also doing great, but not so great. But we can have a chat because of our country, Kenya. So what is happening in Kenya? It shows you the kind of voters that we have generally. Everybody has gone back to their original base where they used to be. If you are a Kikuyu, you will now die with Gachagua. If you are ODM, you will die with Raila Odinga. So everybody has gone back to their tribal political basis, not looking at the issue that is at hand. And the issues are many. One is
Zalendo,
the
unachota maji kwanza.
what do you mean? Nachota maji?
Unatembea tembea.
Unanisikia sahi?
Eh.
Am I loud and clear?
Yeah.
Now, what I was saying is that everybody, kila mtu amerudi kwa kabila lake kuangalia ni nafsi gani watapata katika serikali ya William Ruto. Hiyo ndio kitu inafanyika saa hii, na wale wengine bado wale wanaangalia uzalendo na utaifa ni wachache. So hao wanaangalia ni vipi Senate itaamua ama court itaamua independently mambo ya Gachagua. But I keep on saying that hii mambo ya Gachagua is not very important to me personally because Gachagua hakuna mahali ana sign bill yoyote ile ina affect maisha yako. Everything stops with the president and the parliament. Those are the people who create laws. So whatever they were unhappy about Gachagua is just null and void. Something that we can ignore and still move on and deal with him in 2027. But the politics for 2027 has just begun. In earnest, Ruto is creating his new base with Raila Odinga. I understand that when they had a meeting, he was actually present there to meet the ODM officials in Mombasa. So this deal is already done, and there will be some new announcements, some new realignments politically. Some UDA will no longer be attainable to get to the presidency in 2027. So there will be definitely a new vehicle that is being crafted right now by the lawyers of both teams, while we don't know. But look, these are people who are now crafting something that me and you are not aware of. And most likely, it is what will inform, we will be informed in maybe sometimes next year that we join this particular political movement. That is the political movement that will give Kenyans hope. So we have been in this political discourse for a long time, where the political class use the citizens as voting machines, and then each and every election year they come up with something new, and then they use us again as voting machines. So until voter education is emphasized, but by most political players, is when we will have a leadership. But right now, I can tell you there is no leader in Kenya who I can guarantee you at the moment in the political class that this one fits the bill. They are Why are you playing the montage?
Sorry for that.
So
My mouse.
yeah, so there's no leader. I can tell you that this is the one that the people of Kenya will go for in 2027. But on the background, there's a lot of working, a lot of making of new leaders. We will soon unveil what the Kenyans' aspiration and dreams are. But the current crop that we are seeing on television and the political parties that we are seeing, they need to be cleaned up. They need to be cleaned up, and we get new people either to replace the old guys in the political scene. Come 2027, that will be a good move by the voters and a good sign that they are now looking at policy other than tribe. But it is very, very difficult to predict the Kenyan voting pattern as it is right now. We will we are yet to see a community that will come out and say, we are going to vote on policy. That community is still not out there. Yes, unless you have any question.
No, I don't have any question, Mzalendo. Yesterday we saw the DP speaking, and he looked so relaxed. So Kenyans, I was following some of the conversation in the Hex accounts, and Kenyans saying
No,
that this is just a hide and seek game.
you see, the DP has got only one bullet left, and that bullet is resign, resign. That is the only way he can save his legacy. Otherwise, if he doesn't resign, he will just be an ordinary citizen and will not vie for any political office. Should the Senate go ahead and impeach him? I saw what the senator is called Amason King said about his move to the court. He said that that does not interfere with the process that is going on. What is telling the DP in short is that even if you go in court, this process will run concurrently with your court process. So they want to facilitate, to fast track his impeachment at the Senate just before the hearings begin. So when the hearing is going on, the Gachagua will stand impeached. And even if the courts come up with a decision that that Gachagua should be reinstated, if the courts come up with a decision that Gachagua should be reinstated as the governor, then that will put us again in a constitutional crisis because the Senate has impeached Gachagua and the Senate is final. So, and the courts also have also say given him a clean bill of health. So we don't know. There will be a lot of pulling and tagging in this Gachagua case if the courts indeed uh, are going to exonerate him from any blame, then we will be in a crisis. Yes.
Wonderful from Zalendo is saying maybe if the DP knows this situation very well, then he can resign. If he does not resign, then things might eat up. This is what I took from his wife, that is Dorcas Gashagwa, speaking yesterday.
Bwana asifiwe. Mwathani agocwo. Ngethia cia rĩera-inĩ mwathani agocwo. Baba askofu wetu, House of Clergy, na wale watu wote ambaye Mungu ametuwezesha kuwa katika sherehe hii. Wedoe woe guoko gwaku ũgeithio ũrĩa ũngĩ ũmwĩre congratulations for 34 years. Geithio ũngĩ ũmwĩre Give thanks to God for 34 years. And as you do that, say that, as you do that, hold fast to what you have. Never give up. Remain in faith. Be committed. Serve God. Spread the gospel. And let the salvation reach to the ends of the earth. And you'll have a reward crop for yourself. Gotire kĩndũ kĩnene ta wĩtĩkio. Faith will drive you, drive your dreams, drive your vision, and faith will continue to give you the commitment and devotion you need until you finish the race. In a troubled day, or in the days of trouble, when the waves are hitting against a nation, I urge you to have faith. I urge you to have faith in God. In God, there is victory. Say, in God, there is victory. And also, we must understand, in God, there is that comfort that the one who started a good work will finish. I look at this diocese, and the way I have seen it presented, I see the first people that were there. Our mother is there. In 34 years, there is something that is called growth. And when I see all people sitting, coming to celebrate the goodness of the Lord, I have hope.
That is Dorcas Gachagua saying that you have faith and you should not give up. She is talking in parable form. You know, those people who follow a Bible, then you know that you should not just speak directly. She's speaking in parables. She's saying that you should not give up. You should not give up with what you are chasing. That is Dorcas Gachagua saying that that you should not give up. And I'm joined by Kenya Revolutionary. Chelsea is not playing. I sent you a message. My message with a reply. Anyway, welcome to Afrique 24 Kenya Rebel, and you tell us, what do you think the second lady, I mean Dorcas Gachagua, is trying to mean? She's talking in terms of parables.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. Tomorrow when the courts, if they, I think they're going to decide tomorrow. That will be the end of this circus in the legislative body. Because, and that's why I disagree with Mzalendo slightly here. Once the courts decide, if they look at the evidence and they feel like the evidence that were provided at the National Assembly does not meet the threshold or is not enough to impeach Gachagua, if they rule that it's not enough, or the process in which that voting or the evidence were brought up, about were illegal, were not as it's supposed to be, then the whole story of Gachagua impeachment will end there. Senate will, in fact, the Senate won't even debate the matter in the Senate. It will be stopped there and then, because you know, the courts shall have what do you call it, pronounce itself on the issue by mentioning the illegal nature in which that whole process was undertaken. If that's the case, that is. So my suspicion is tomorrow, if, I don't know if they're going to make the decision the same day or they're going to wait, but if they are to make their decision tomorrow on Tuesday, then the Senate will not go ahead with that that process, because that's why you see Gachagua went in today early before the matter goes to the Senate. Like I said, this whole thing is a distraction. Again, it was designed to take your focus away from the Adani deal, which now is the number one thing that's been discussed. And Raila, you saw he made his mind known as far as where he stands with Adani, and you can see how that caused a lot of makelele in the news, and a lot of people are disappointed with him. But anyway, in short, again, just to say, tomorrow, if the courts are to decide about Gachagua, if they look at the evidence that Gachagua has, and they look at the manner in which the case was brought to the National Assembly and the motion was moved to the Senate, if they find that this process is illegal, then the Senate will not go ahead with debating the issue on Thursday. Your story itaisha hapo. Gachagua shall remain the Deputy President of Kenya, and I think that's what.
That is Kenya revolutionary saying that this was just atmosphere. Buru, I know you are one of the followers of Bible, someone who understands Bible. What do you have to take from what Dorcas Gachagua has said there? And what do you think she's trying to mean?
You see, right now, everything that the deputy president says or his wife, people will always be trying to get something out of it. Maybe for her, she was genuinely addressing the people and encouraging them. And I think those were young people, because she was telling them to repeat after her. Maybe for her, she was just focusing with the team she was addressing. But the common mwananchi or the other people will interpret that she was encouraging the husband not to give up. However, I have to say that she is a good wife, because she has never feared to show her love and her support to the husband. There is nothing good like when things become very hard, at least you have someone that you know this person cannot leave me. And that is the caliber of our second lady, Mama Dorcas. She has always shown support to the husband, which is a very good character. Apart from that, I have heard you say, oh, it was, okay, so many people are saying all these are games or distractions, which are meant to distract the people from the real thing. And I want to agree to a larger extent that yes, Ruto knows exactly what he is doing. And he didn't want this Adani thing to go through. And this Adani is in so many sectors. Adani is in different businesses. Adani is in our airport. Adani is almost now everywhere. But I want Kenyans to think, who is this Adani? And why is the president having a lot of interest, and he is so keen to make sure that he penetrates in Kenya? This Adani is our President Ruto, who is just hiding behind someone else. He is getting a good share of everything that he's bargaining about. And that is how most of our leaders operate. So Gachagua might not be so bad because I don't think he has committed offenses more than any of these people who are calling him names. But they have to sacrifice him so that when people are focusing of impeachment of the deputy president, on the other side, Ruto and his team, they are just pushing the cards of making sure Adani has penetrated in our airport, in our hospitals, in our power supply. And this Adani, I want to tell you the other name of William Ruto is Adani. In future, Kenyans will come to agree with me. That is why he is having a lot of interest. The fact that today the former Prime Minister came out to support Adani is very unfortunate. Kenyans, we have been left alone. There is for him, and this is his character, and that's why I've always said I don't support Raila Odinga because he's so hypocritical. He makes noise when he's out there, but whenever he joins the government, he sees no evil. He supports everything the government is doing, and that's very bad. So for him, he's just so much concentrating on getting this AU position. For him right now, he is so happy because of the money that the government is using to support him. And I know even in this Adani, he has already gotten a share. Right now, they are working together. So it is the high time, Kenyans, we stand together and we say no to this kind of deals. Let them continue with their fights, but we should not accept the airport to be sold without competitive process, whereby those tender or whatever, the whole process should be put open. Let us see it. Let us see how the process has been done. Let people compete. That if Boni has what it takes to lease that airport, you can go and do it for a number of years. But let us not be told this guy is qualified, he has everything. How many people even here in Kenya who have money? They can be in a position to get that airport. If we must do it, it should be open both to the locals and the international community. But the locals, Kenyans, should be given the first priority. Some people I know, some people like Jimmy Wajigi, if they can be given a chance, they can be able to give the government the money they want. And he runs the airport very well. I'm just using him as an example. We have so many people who are even richer than the Adani company, but they cannot be given that opportunity because if they are given, the president will not get what he wants to get. So we want the whole thing to be put open, let people compete, and let it be open to the public. That way, we will be satisfied. But is it a must that we give our parastatals, our government institution, to the private sector? Kenyans should first be convinced why are we selling our airport? Why must we do that? But the way I have come to study our politicians, they are very selfish. They don't care whether what they are doing will harm the country. All they care is about their pockets. Once they are satisfied, they don't care about our country. They don't care about our future generations. They think they're going to be here on this earth forever. They are short-sighted. Ruto thinks he should be very rich and be on the same level with the Kenyatas. That is his focus. And what I want to tell the president and those around him, he had very rich people who thought this world belonged to them. They thought this world belongs to them, and that is why they were stealing almost stealing everything. Kenyatta stole almost a province is under his name. Where is he? He is no more. They should learn that instead of thinking of just yourself, think of building the economy for the sake of future generations. Because each person in this world is very temporal. You don't have to own everything. They're just selfish, they're short-sighted, and they only think of themselves. And that is very unfortunate. And I want to, in conclusion, to say that whether what they are doing is just distractions, the action of attempting to impeach the deputy president by itself tells us who is Ruto. People have been saying Ruto is an animal. I've never believed that. I have always refused, and you know how much I have supported Ruto and how much I have fought with his critics, telling people even a bad person can change. And I thought William Ruto, because of how much, I'm a pastor, how much I saw him cry in the church, being prayed for almost every day, people crying for him, become the president, how much he was supporting the church. I thought this guy is very genuine. Only to realize that he can even forget the good things that someone has done to him. Sometimes I might be very bitter with some people who have wronged me. But when I think of the few things, good things they have done to me, I just decide not to be very hard on them. It's good to remember something good someone has ever done to you. This Gachagua is the one who stood strongly with William Ruto, to the extent of being jailed, to the extent of being flogged in front of his children and the employees and the workers, naked. This is someone who used millions of money. The reason why, though people were preferring people from central Kenya, especially politicians, they were preferring Kidiki because they know Kidiki is a weak politician, a yes guy, whom to remove there is just very easy. They knew very well that Kidiki would not rise to the position whereby he becomes a presidential figure, but they feared Gachagua. But the reason why, I think the major reason why the president chose Gachagua to be his deputy, it was because of what he was bringing in the table in form of money. You cannot win in Kenya if you don't have enough money, and the person who had money was Gachagua. So I'm saying Ruto is an animal because someone who has spent his millions of money just to make you the president, then you want to use him and dump him? That is unfair. That is unfair. He might have his weaknesses, but our president should also remember he is not an angel. If we are to judge basing on his actions, basing on his past, basing on corruption, basing on lies, basing on division, he cannot stand the test. If he can fail the integrity test terribly, so he is unfair. He is someone who can forget where he has come from. And for that reason, I find it very hard to trust William Ruto. And I don't think at any given time, however, just by attempting to impeach his deputy, something that the former president never tried to do to him, just by that action, already myself, I have decided I will never at any given time support William Ruto. That is the decision I have made. because I hate betrayal. I hate people who are not honest, and I hate people who can be unfair to others or take advantage of others. Thank you, Bonnie. Give it to someone else.
Wonderful from Buru. He's saying that he hates William Ruto with passion. He will never ever.
Wait, Bonnie, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say I hate William Ruto with passion. I said I hate those actions of betrayal. I don't hate William Ruto with passion. I don't hate people, but I hate bad manners.
That is awesome from Buru. In the comment section there, I can see a lot of people are following. Awesome is saying that the court have no power to stop the confirmation or the continuation of the Senate. Therefore, anything contrary to what to that is just speculation. That is, Awesome is saying that Gachagua is a disaster. He has to go. And also in the comment section there, he's saying that the rigidity we Kenyans have is beyond measure. The corruption is on another level. Let's give this project to a private investor and have a 5-star airport
Just a minute.
like other countries.
Can that person in that comment tell us which law he is basing on when he says the court doesn't have power?
Right, but Bonnie, can I just say one sentence before we go about that, please?
Yes, please, Kenya Revolutionary.
Yeah, when the finance bill was passed by the 2023 finance bill 2022-23, I think, Okiom Tat, among others, went to the court and they highlighted the manner in which it was. In fact, it wasn't the finance bill; it was the finance bill. Yeah, the manner in which it was passed was illegal. They highlighted that at the courts, and the court sided with them and reversed the finance bill. Now, which made it null and void. That's an example which shows you that if the process of removing Gachagua was done illegally, the process, or the evidence that's provided in the National Assembly, which the motion was moved up to, voted to go ahead with it, and it's taken to the Senate. Now, if the court find that those evidence are not enough, because you remember, even these parliamentarians, the National Assembly and the Senate, they are relying on the Constitution to actually impeach Deputy President. So, if they haven't met those requirements to remove the Deputy President, the courts can actually rule on the matter, look at it and see if these lawmakers actually met the threshold that is required in the Constitution to remove that deputy, whether it's the process or the evidence that has been given to remove him. So if they rule tomorrow that the evidence is not enough to remove deputy, there will be no Senate debate on the matter. Your story and itaisha immediately. That's why the Deputy President did what he did and went to the courts. Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kenya Revolution. We are joined by Mary Wainaina. Mary Wainaina, welcome to Africa 24 and give us your opening remarks as you weigh on our.
Thank you. Asanteni na wasalimia wote. Mzalendo, Jeff, Kenyan revolutionary. I thought it was revolutionary. It is revolutionary. Yeah, na wasalimia sana ndugu zangu pahali popote mko, comment section, and Kenyans wherever they are, because we have to be united to make our country great. with all the words, the ideas, the vision that we have in our mind, bring it together, then we can have a conclusion of how our Kenya can stand. We love our motherland and we stand with it, whatever comes. But we have to fight for it because so many shambles have been happening and people are really struggling with life in our country, whereby we enjoyed life and that is where we want to enjoy life. Wherever we are, home is best. Na kwa hivyo mimi nina huzuni nikiona yale yote yanaendelea Kenya. Let me start with I hate hypocrites. Hypocrites will always cause mayhem. Kwa sababu hawajitoi tuwaelewe wao ni nani. Wanatuingilia kwa maisha yetu, tunawasaidia, wanaenda wanakuwa wakubwa pahali fulani, lakini wanatugeuka. And I hate seeing how people can try to be so sneaky na kujifanya wao ni werevu, kwa hivyo watutumie alafu watutumbukize kwa shimo. What I am saying is, Kenyans voted, whatever way you voted, for a peaceful country so that you can continue doing your own stuff as you have been. Because we never look for handouts from the government. But what we are seeing now is like people have really meant seriousness. They have their business to finish us as we see, as we watch. Kwa sababu ile mambo yote inafanyika Kenya yetu, in fact, it has no foundation. Lakini watu wamefikiria wawe majambazi, watese wananchi, how many they are, kwa sababu wao, they are the chosen few who should live comfortably, eat and drink and sleep comfortably. Wakenya sahi ni kulia wanalia. Na tunakimbizwa hapa na impeachment ambayo imesosewa na wachache kwa sababu wanajitakia makuu. Si ati huyo anatolewa kwa sababu yeye amekosa kuliko wale wanabaki. We want to see lifestyle audited for these all people in UDA. We see who will remain. Hakuna mtu atabaki. Hakuna mtu hana blemish. Hawa ni watu wabaya, wavivu, si wafanyikazi lakini wezi kamili. And why did I say that? If you look the impeachment meaning, hata unasikia aibu. Ukiimagine wale wanabaki wamefanya mambo gani na nini wametufanyia. Wameumiza watu wengi na bado tutaendelea kuumia. If we are not careful, we Kenyans. If we Kenyans don't come together and rescue our country, don't look about tribal. Na in fact hiyo tribal ndio imemaliza watu Kenya. Hiyo ndio imefanya tuumizwe na hawa watu because they always feel strong when they are in their region talking to their people, lakini bado hata hawa watu wao ni kuwaumiza, wanaumiza. Wanaendelea kuzoofika kwa sababu ya ukubwa wao na utajiri wao. Vile tumeona na tumekuja kugundua. It is too late for them. We have understood things. We have gone through experiences and so we understand them from the word go, where they are taking us and what they want to do. What they mean to us and what we mean to them. We mean good to them so that they can work for us while we are busy doing our own stuff. But they don't want to do that. They have gone beyond. Wametujenga kwa kichwa. Wanatukanyanga vichwa. Hebu imagine unasaidia mtu kwa sababu sisi tuliwasaidia. There is nothing they did to us to vote for them. And furthermore, whatever side you voted, hukufosiwa kumvotia. Ulimvotia kwa roho yako. Na kama ulipewa pesa, ole wako. Mimi sikupewa pesa. But I'm saying this. Huwezi kusaidia mtu ambaye anarudi baadaye na kukanyanga kichwa. How painful is that? That is what Kenyans are going through. Na si Mkenya mmoja, everybody in Kenya is crying in different problems, different categories. Watu ni kulia wanalia. Either watu walie kwa chakula, walie kwa sababu ya shule, walie kwa sababu ya magonjwa, all this painful, disturbing, frustrating stuff. That is what Kenyans are going through. Na hii impeachment imekuwa ndio msoso. Ndio imekuwa sasa muongeo. Na yale mengine yanaendelea kutengenezwa huko nyuma. Sa ile mko busy mna watch hii impeachment, things are really cooking bad ones behind our back. na ni hawa tu wanafanya hivyo. I cannot believe two people that we are watching to give us service, to give us progress, to give us focus and development in our country are the one now fighting. And they're not fighting because they are hungry. They're not fighting because they are sick. They're not fighting because they have nothing. They are so rich that even they want to vomit on us. Na hiyo ndio ile shida tuko nayo. These people who are fighting, they should get out of the office, go fight outside when we have somebody responsible who can be accountable of what we are going through. Rather than seeing people who have been fed, so well dressed, so well, I mean, they have all the well-ups. Lakini wanataka kutuonyesha ati tuwaangalie wakipigana when we have children who are at home. We have our parents who are sick, they cannot be treated. While we have people who don't have food. Surely, what is all this? Na hata nikaona hata baba ameenda kujiongeza hapo, ameingia naye ana msemo anataka kusema. What is he saying? People don't reason like human beings, they reason like animals. Hata wanyama ni wazuri. Because I see animals, even when one is dead there, they mourn. Na tunasemaga wanyama hawana akili. We human beings, we have become animals. We have become evil. Because if you cannot think of somebody's life and the pain people are going through, you're just talking because you're fighting about money. Money that you have a lot, even you cannot spend it. But those people who don't have anything, you want them to listen to you. Ni nini tutalia? Ni uchungu ule tuko nao, ni magonjwa yale yako tuko nayo, ama ni njaa ile tuko nayo, ama ni kufikiria habari ya hawa matajiri ambao wanapigana. It is so ridiculous. Hii mambo hata mkiangalia nyinyi wa Kenya, achaneni na wao, acha wapigane. Let's focus on our way that we get these people out of that office. If we have an idea of how to get them out, that is what we should be fighting and thinking about. Nasikia uchungu sana nikiona watu ati sasa wamefurutwa na hiyo kitu inaitwa impeachment. Imekuwa ati ndio muongeo the whole country, ambapo watu wengine hawana malazi, wengine hawana chakula, wengine ni wagonjwa, hata matibabu hawapati. What is more important for a human being? These people have got no moral. They have no mercy at all. The only thing they have is about themselves. I don't know what they say, I, me, something like that. Somebody can tell me how that goes. I, me, and myself. That's all they think about. There's nothing more. Kwa hivyo hii ni uchungu bado wanatuweka. Sorry?
Me, myself, and I.
Exactly. That is what exactly they are. And that is what they think. Na kwa mtu yule ambaye anaona kama haya mambo inaendelea ni mazuri, you are thinking backward. That is what I can say. Because kama wewe huna njaa, kuna mtu ako na njaa. I have been following somebody, I'm sorry, let me take few minutes. Bonnie. I have been following somebody called Dan Wema. That guy goes to the deepest poor people. Ati unaona mama, watoto wake wamemzingira hapa, ameketi, hakuna chakula. In fact, she says they did not eat yesterday. Na ile kitu iko jikoni saa hiyo ni maji na majani na hakuna sukari. Wakunywe hiyo walale. How painful is that? Na watu hapa wako na mandege, pesa zimejaa kwa bank, lakini impeachment ndio wanapigania ati wamtoe ndio wao waendelee kukula ama sijui waendelee kuwa nini. Surely, Kenyans, let's be merciful. Let's think about the country itself. These hooligans, they will never end up good. Na hawatafurahia maisha kama hawapigani hivyo wanapigana. Sisi hatupigani na wao, waondoke, wakapiganie huko nje, waendeshe maisha yao. They have enough that they can spend in their future and the coming life future. But for us, we have a capable person who will give us peace. Na tuendelee na nchi yetu. Kutoka siku ile hawa watu walichaguliwa, kelele haijakwisha. What is this? Ni election ingine tunafanya in the middle or what is going on? Hii kelele imekuwa too much. Kenyans cannot handle. Let's get out and do what we can to get these guys out. Let's drain the swamp. Asante Bani. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Wainaina. She is saying that let's drain that swamp. Let's drain that swamp. We're joined by Demba. Demba, you have been our loyal follower here. Welcome to Afrique 24 as you give us your opening sentiments on the political tensions that we are experiencing in the country 254.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Nice to see you all. And indeed, there's a lot that is happening right now. And I want to first of all acknowledge the presence of all of us and those who are listening. I can see Kenyan Revolutionary, I can see Murlendo, and the rest. Now, my sentiments are going to be, first of all, appreciation of the concept of the democracy. We first of all need to appreciate that Kenya is a constitutional democracy. And we are led by the constitution. And within the constitution, they say that constitutions are there because if human beings were let free to do whatever it is that they want, we are brutish. Thomas Hobbes says that our life is brutish and short. So without a constitution, we would finish each other. So I want first of all to appreciate that at least the constitution is being given some life based on what is currently happening. On the idea of impeachment, personally, I am of the view that we cannot say that let's not use certain part of the constitution because of the other things that are happening. I want to address us to, at the time that Trump was being impeached in the US, there was COVID, several other things were going on, but he still went through the impeachment process. At the time there was COVID, elections still were held in the US. The priority was probably people not to do whatever it is that they need to do and take care of their health, but still elections took place. We cannot buy the argument. Those people who are trying to sell the argument that because we have many other things that are going on, then we need not implement other parts of the Constitution. Then why, therefore, did you have the impeachment clause in the Constitution? The impeachment clause in the Constitution is there for a purpose. And it is for that particular reason that it was put there. If we didn't want impeachment clause, then it shouldn't have been there. So we need, first of all, to ask ourselves, is it constitutional for a deputy president to be impeached? Because at any one point, even when that clause was being put there, we were very much aware that Kenya will be having many other things going on. And to suggest that because there are many things going on, therefore impeachment should not be one of it, I find that a very interesting argument. The bigger perspective of it is this: at any one point, something will be going on in Kenya. If we didn't want the clause, then we would have just put in the clauses that are dealing with basic needs, like provision of food, provision of that, and remove the impeachment clause. But impeachment clause is there for a reason. As it is for any other reason, the same people who are here, we did not like the relationship between the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto then and the President Uhuru. And for 8 years, they engaged us in picky ponky. They were not in good relationship. They were not delivering, but there was prevented a lot of things from working for 8 years. Fast forward, we have a deputy president and a president who are not moving on together. The same people who will come and say, give us and pontificate about if we are not happy in a relationship, walk out. Right now, they're busy saying we don't need an impeachment clause, we need delivery to the people. If indeed the two of them are not able to work together, then they don't need to be together. We don't need to be treated to a circus of two leaders, one having a press conference in the city and another one having a press conference in Mombasa. For that reason alone, they should part ways. It is the same people here who will say that if you do not agree with your husband, you don't need to work together. You can always move and leave. I guess maybe that kind of thinking is what informs some of the people that, just stay in the relationship just for the kids, so that you can keep feeding your children, even if you are hurting in that relationship. This is a situation where the husband and the wife do not agree. They are not at speaking terms. They are talking at cross purpose, whether you like it or not. When the president wakes up probably to make a policy statement, the deputy president makes a contrary policy. He has already attacked some of the government policies. He doesn't agree with it. So he is in a parallel mindset with the president. For that reason alone, whatever other thing, they should part ways. And since he's not able to resign, then of course there's the impeachment clause. The other things of whether there's criminal culpability, that is for the court to determine. Personally, for the mere fact that they cannot work together, we cannot allow ourselves again to be treated to 8 years of drama. It's only 2 years. They have 10 years. And so we are coming here to be emotional about it, that people are suffering. We are not supposed to be talking about impeachment. If you are in the house and there are things that are going on and a thief comes into the house, you stop to take care of the thief. You stop to take care of the matters that make you survive. In my view, I support the idea of the impeachment. Number one, it is setting precedents. Number two, it is sorting us out of 8 years of drama that we witnessed. We could do nothing. Uhuru did not have the numbers to have Ruto impeached, to get someone that he could work with, to deliver. But here we are. The numbers are there. Now, does it mean that sorting one problem means you're not sorting other problem? All the other problems can be sorted, but they will not be sorted at once. Even the law, the way it works, there are people who have been arrested, are in jail, they are in court, but it doesn't mean all the thieves are not out there. You can never finish vices in a society. There will always be a vice to be dealt with. So if you're looking for a time when there are no thieves, there are a time when there's no problem, that now is when now we can implement the impeachment clause, then we are living in a very interesting society. That's a utopian society that we might never get to. All things are dealt with as they come. And for me, I want to submit, yes, the Constitution, as long as it is constitutional. Is it constitutional that the motion was brought to the floor of the House? Yes. Did it go through the threshold? Yes. The feeling of whether it should not have been brought or not, that's also a good discussion. It's a good discourse in a democracy, where there are people who are agreeing with it, there are people who are not agreeing with it. I identify with those who are saying The impeachment clause was put in the Constitution for a reason. So as all the other clauses, the right to any other clause that is in the Constitution, they were put there to be implemented. So as long as it is within the Constitution, whether we agree or not, that's a democracy. Does it mean that we can't deal with all the others? I don't think so. We can still have a motion to deal with all the others. We can still have bring a motion to circle all the politicians, the ones that we probably think, even the Constitution, there's a provision for a normal mwananchi to bring, to move through a motion, to dissolve parliament. I mean, all those things are there. So I want to land by saying this. Will the society reach a point where there are no issues at all? No. Even in the most developed democracies like the US, right now you see there are still places, if you see the videos are there, where there are people who are going through worse situations. They go through, maybe they do not lack some basic needs, so they have to be taken care of. That is in all societies. We don't want to look like Africa is the grimmest society that has ever lived. I don't think it's true. That's a human problem, and it cannot be sorted even in your lifetime. Even if you want to, let's sort that out first, then we sort the rest. All these things should be addressed as once. If someone has gone or breached the Constitution and it is proven so, besides, it is a process that is ongoing. So if it is proven and within the constitutional threshold and he meets it, and then he goes the other political undertones, that's okay. It's okay for us to either agree or disagree. So I want to at least pause there for now and say I do not identify, as much as I respect those who think it is a distraction. I respect their view to the extent that they think it's a distraction. They also have a democratic right to believe so. Personally, I am of the view that Constitution can be implemented and can be seen to work at any time. Whenever it's possible, it should be tested, because not just the Constitution, it is constitutionalism. Does the Constitution say that the impeachment clause is there to impeach the president and to impeach the deputy? Yes. Does it say when? No, it doesn't. The Constitution doesn't give when it should be implemented. But whenever it is possible, it kicks in, then I think I identify and I'm the view that it should be let to continue. It is a way that we progress our democracy. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Themba, saying our democracy should always speak. Mzalendo, what do you have to add on what Themba has said?
No, the question, the big question is that Themba is right in whatever he's arguing about. The only thing is that this is a tool that can be used by your proponents to remove you from office. People who don't want accountability, for example, will use the impeachment as a way of fighting their opponents when they control parliament. It is also legitimizes that you can use institutions that you control to punish your opponents. So impeachment can be looked at in many perspectives. In Themba's view, yes, it is a constitutional means to deal uh, with uh, with the deputy president. But again, in people who are arguing on, like myself, I see that the deputy president did not do any wrong that is worth an impeachment. And again, it does not solve the crisis that we have in the country. Now, for example, if the deputy president goes and we get another one, what what uh, what have we solved? What have we solved? We have solved basically nothing. We have replaced it with somebody else who is not accountable to us in any way. Because first, the backstop to the presidency and the parliament, where the deputy president comes in, does not affect Themba's life in any way. Neither does it affect William Ruto's life. Even if he decides to have 1,001 press conferences, How does that affect you? So long as there's no law that is being affected. But again, when you look at what the president is standing for, a government of national unity, then he uses the same tool that is disposal, that is parliament, to bring in a motion and remove the deputy. Of course, he has removed the central Kenya region from leadership. That is exactly what it means. If you want to look at it in another way, look at the political temperatures in Central. Right now, as we speak, the president can not go in Central Kenya comfortably. He cannot. He cannot. So he has already increased the tensions in other regions. Other regions are comfortable and happy. If you go to Nyanza, they are clapping and dancing. But in other regions, they are crying that, one of their own and the person they voted for, who is the president, has betrayed them. So this is the betrayal in all decency. And when I go back to faith and Christianity, look at what the two leaders are standing. They stand for religion. They stand for what the Bible is. Every day they are in church. Every other Sunday they are in church. But these are the same people who cannot forgive each other. What about me and you, me and them? If we are involved in a quarrel or something, we will kill each other. If the people who are saying that they are religious cannot even forgive each other, what is this sin that Rigathi Gachagua has committed that is so huge that even if he asks his president, "Man, they forgive me, nilikosea," Baka he says that, "Hey, man, they mimi nilikosea, I am sorry." A 59-year-old man saying he's sorry, not gone out in the street and killed the people. No, he's saying whatever he has done, he's sorry. Present whatever you have done. Look at the reasons what they are presenting in parliament that Gachagua has done. I have argued this before. Before parliament receives any allegation, there are allegations. They have to be investigated. Remember, you live in a country of democracy where there is the rule of law. Investigation when the Senate, when Congress wanted to impeach Donald Trump, there were allegations, but they were investigated. They were investigation by FBI, investigation by committees. Those investigations were done. Not this haphazard kind of, okay, mob justice. I would call it like a mob justice. Now we want to the president, the deputy president, bring up a motion. No committee is sitting down to investigate his wealth. They are saying that he's corrupt. No committee, no DCI finding. DCI wamesema nini hapa katika hii impeachment. Although there is being said as corrupt, what is the EACC saying? There are committees in parliament that can investigate each and every matter that affects the Republic of Kenya. Those committees would have investigated the deputy president with the relevant organs and come up with a statement that this is what we found out. Not a motion being brought in parliament and people being bought 500,000 and they kick out the deputy president. It doesn't make sense. It can be used against you next time when September you are the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Let us look at the laws and what the law is saying. And if there is a loophole in the law, we must rectify. Yes, the deputy president could have done a lot of mistakes. He could have been, like, I have a problem with him by saying that, I represent Central Kenya region. Every time where he goes in Central Province, like the vice president of Central Province. But that does not affect me at all. It is something that he needs to be, that the president needs to tell him, hey, my brother, we came here to work for the people of Kenya and not for the people of Central Province, period. And they are also in the same political party. Some of these could have been solved in their own political party movement so that they stick to their agenda. So by dragging the whole country into a political move and a political discourse to create position for another group of people to come in, and who knows, the same parliament to impeach the next deputy president using the same tactics. I learned there.
Wonderful from Zalendo. Zalendo, that was wonderful. A short one from Kenya Revolutionary, then we go to Buru.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. I'm glad to see Themba. You know, Themba always makes the discussion very interesting, so I'm glad to see him. I would like to slightly disagree with him. I think he makes a good point, but he uses a lot of assumptions. Number one, just because you don't have a constitution doesn't mean you can kill each other or live like wild animals. Israel does not have a constitution. They live in peace within themselves. I'm not talking about in relation to Palestinians. I'm talking about the Israel state. They don't have a constitution, or at least a codified one. Anyway, what was Nani saying? Yes, the diversion. The point is, we are not saying that impeachment shouldn't happen. We are not against impeachment. If the the deputy president, broke the law or did something that's impeachable, then by all means, it can be done at any time that we see fit, whether everything else, whether done is going on or not. But so far, I mean, just because the deputy president went and gave a speech that's contrary to what the president was saying in another part of the country, that's not impeachable offense. Disagreements happen. That's not an impeachable offense. I mean, even in corporate world, your boss and the board members might not agree on an issue. Does that mean that somebody should be kicked out of it because they disagreed on an issue? No. And I think Gachagua made that point clear. That's why I'm saying, if you are basing the 11 reasons that were tabled that are going to be used to impeach Gachagua, then that's the flimsiest evidence I've ever seen in my life. I mean, none of it can stick, so to speak. That's why I'm saying, Nani, what's his name? Gachagua will probably, have the court stop this whole nonsense, because it is nonsense, just that. Because if you look at the process in which it was done and the evidence, it does not meet the threshold, the constitutional threshold to actually impeach him. And I know, like Awesome was saying on the comment section, saying that, okay, the courts have no jurisdiction on the matter. Yes, they do. That's why I gave the example of Okiya Mtata, how he stopped the whole thing. Now, what we are saying is this. I personally, everyone has a different opinion on this issue. I'm simply saying that I'm not buying this Gachagua versus Ruto beef. This is, to me, in my personal opinion, it is them conjuring up, creating this tension to polarize the nation. You can see how the Mount Kenya now is on fire. I mean, Ichungwa cannot even stand in front of his house and say hello to his neighbor without being chased away. This is exactly what's going to happen. They want. You can see, they just mentioned who the people who are going to be giving a speech, whatever, or making their case against Gachagua. Kaluma, of all the people, this tribalist who was the number one person who was saying, oh, now it's time for the people from the lakeside to, be in the government because they've never been in government. It's done by design, in my opinion. Even when Uhuru and Ruto were saying their bromance was over, I didn't believe it because, first of all, Uhuru told us that, again, people play those clips telling us how Ruto was reckless and we shouldn't vote for him, whatever. If Uhuru really didn't hated Ruto to that extent, why did they hand over power? And don't tell me it's because of the constitution. Uhuru is one of those people who are just as bad as Ruto. He never respected the constitution. He never respected the rule of law. He never followed any of it. So I don't buy that these people were actually enemies. Ruto is an extension of the Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's rule. We are just playing musical chairs. This is a one big club where Raila, Ruto, Uhuru, they're all playing us. And that's why I will not be surprised tomorrow if the Gachagua issue ends tomorrow because the Adani deal has gone through. Just to conclude again, now somebody asked, why would you say it's a distraction? It's a distraction because if you remember the JKIA thing, when the strikers, the people who were working at JKIA started striking, because they were protesting against the Adani takeover, possible takeover at the time. So when the Adani CEOs were in town, that's when this impeachment motion ikaanza kushika moto. And of course, they threw Morara there to spice it up with the whole destruction. Now that this thing has been passed, at least on the energy sector side, it has been signed, sealed, and delivered. It's time to wrap up this show, at least on Gachagua's side. And you'll see, probably more than likely tomorrow, the courts shall stop this madness, and then we shall roll over to another episode. This is how it's done. That's why I usually quote James Carville, one of the Clinton's advisor, who said, Hollywood is for beautiful, good-looking actors. Politics is for ugly actors. These are actors. They're playing us, and that's how they're doing it, by polarizing us by issues like impeachment of Gachagua, Morara, and all things. Just to finish again, remember, Ruto's number one concern is to make sure that there's nothing closely remote to what happened in June 25th. So he has to bring as many distractions as he can while he takes over the government's, the country's resources through this Adani and all other proxy companies. Thank you. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Kenya Revolutionary. Jeburu.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for another opportunity. Thank you, Themba, for joining us. And also, I equally respect your sentiments and the support of the impeachment of the deputy president. And I think those of us who feel that this process should not be taking place, it's not because we are saying that the clauses of the Constitution, some of them should be ignored, but we are saying, after listening to both sides, those that are criticizing the deputy president and also those that are in support, we also followed keenly to the submissions of the members of parliament and the 11 allegations that have been put forward as the basis of impeachment. We don't feel like there is anything substantial and strong enough to warrant the impeachment of the deputy president. It's a very weak case. And I can tell you there is a very high possibility that the court will find that case wanting. And I'm saying this. It's okay to follow the Constitution. It's okay to implement the Constitution. It's okay to test the Constitution. But my big question is, when will the government of William Ruto settle down and work for Kenyans? That is my big question. Themba, you have said that the relationship between the president and the deputy president is like a marriage which is not working. The wife is saying one thing, the husband is saying another. I want to tell you that the government cannot be the same as marriage. But even in marriage or in a relationship, it does not mean that a wife cannot have a different view from your view as a husband. So the only reason that is given, or one of the reasons that is very strong, that can cause the deputy president to be impeached is insubordination. Insubordination is when someone has disobeyed the president, has been given duties, and has refused to do those duties. At no given time has the President William Ruto given some duties to the deputy, and the deputy has refused to attend to those duties. If we are being told that Gachagua has refused to do ABCD, reasonable orders and instructions from the president, and he has refused, then those are strong ground for his impeachment. The things we were being told there are things to do with the hate brother inheritance, are things to do with the press conference that the deputy president had after the Gen Zs. And can I tell you something? The president came with his votes, combined with the votes of the deputy president, and formed the government. And that is why it's kind of a coalition, and does not mean that the president should not give the deputy freedom of expression. If the president feels what is happening is unfair, I don't think the president, the deputy president, should support. You have said that the deputy president has been calling parallel press conferences, which I think is not true. That has happened, okay, it's to a lesser extent. That only happened during the Gen Zs. The deputy president was totally right, because he said, we promised Kenyans that we shall not kill them. Why are we killing our children? We promised Kenyans that we are going to listen to them. Why are we not listening to our children? We promised Kenyans that we are not going to kidnap them. Why are we having kidnappings? Those were the grounds under which the deputy president had called for a press conference. He disagreed because what happened between the Gen Zs and the government was totally wrong. Why kill these innocent kids? Some of them did what we were doing out of ignorance. Some of them were just incited. Some of them had genuine concerns. And the deputy president felt what the government is doing is wrong. So I don't see, like, the deputy president has always been sabotaging the president. The president says this, the president says the other. The other areas they have differed is on the Adani deal, where the deputy president is saying this thing is not transparent. This thing, I don't know how it's happening. I don't think the deputy president is such a bad guy. And I'm saying this, that Kenyans, if we lose Gachagua as the deputy president, we are going to lose a very honest person, a very humble guy. You people, and I'll keep saying this. You remember 2 months ago, I lost my mom. Can I tell you? Maybe even some of the neighbors did not attend. Maybe even some of my close friends did not care. But can I tell you, to our surprise, we are not in the category of anywhere like we have to be recognized by the deputy president. But to our surprise, that deputy president, that's why I'm saying this is a very humble man, a man who is accessible. To my surprise, the man appeared to come and give us his condolences. That is the kind of a person we are talking about. But these politicians, because they don't want someone who is honest, they don't want someone who connects with people, they have to take every word that Gachagua says. And you know, sometimes politicians, not just politicians, even ourselves, we make mistakes. If someone is always there looking for faults, he will find them. And that is what they have been doing, waiting for every speech of the deputy president. And instead of saying the good things he has said, they only pick that one thing that can bring division, that can bring hate, just to try to bring him down, because they have realized this man is connecting with common mwananchi. This is the only politician right now who can be honest and tell the president what you are doing is wrong. Stop telling the police to go and do ABCD. It is wrong. Listen to the people. That is the kind of a person we are being told this guy should go home. The reason why all of them, 281 of them, are uncomfortable, it is because most people are always uncomfortable with the truth. And for me, I will not be part of those. We say everything has a reason. There is a reason why Kenyans have nicknamed Rigiji a truthful man. There is a reason why Kenyans nicknamed William Ruto a liar. Right now, I can see it clearly, not because I'm from the tribe of Rigiji, but because what is happening. And in law, we say you should not only be fair, but you should be seen to be fair. What is happening to the deputy president, in whichever form you want to look at it, in whichever angle, in whichever perspective, to me, I would say it's unfair and totally unfair. Thank you.
That is the Buru submission. Thank you so much, Buru, for that wonderful submission. And I want just to give them a short, just a few minutes so that you can say something about your response. That is Mzalendo, Buru, and Kenya Revolutionary.
Thank you, Boni, for the opportunity to rebut. At the top of it, first of all, I think the idea of calling Rigiji the truthful man is far-fetched. He calls himself the truthful man, and they say in propaganda, you repeat it. They say that propaganda, you repeat it so long, it becomes the truth. And he has repeated the idea of being the truthful man. I don't believe he's a truthful man because, number one, first of all, it is questionable how Rigiji has made his wealth. The same Rigiji, it has been recorded, he was the one who actually participated actively in the Moi regime to even kill his own people in Limuru. There's records out there. So trying to paint Rigiji, first of all, as a truthful man, that is not true. And again, just before they came to power, Rigiji had been arrested for questionable 200 million. That as soon as they came to power, part of the thing they did was Rigiji, them stopping that prosecution, interfering with the prosecution of that money, and then him being refunded that money. And immediately he went and hosted this, the controversial party at his place where he gave them Kamushere na Kanyama. So this is a person who was a one-term MP who did a lot of business with counties, who stole actually the county that the brother was even the governor. And that money was questionable. And then he comes out and then you're telling us he's a truthful man. There's nothing truthful about Gachagua and indeed about politics. If you come and start saying so-and-so is truthful, for me, I realize how much you probably have some steps to do when it comes to understanding how politics works. Just because you say something different doesn't mean you are truthful. I mean, we are saying Rigiji is humble. What humility is there in someone who killed his own people? As a DO, he killed his own people, and he was even fired as a DO. So this is a person whose track record of leadership is even wanting. When we even come to say that we are talking about Rigiji, what track record of Rigiji's leadership do you have other than being a DO, a failed DO who did not perform, was fired, a one-term MP who even came and he cannot explain his wealth. He stole money from the counties, and then we are saying he's a truthful man. There's nothing truthful about Gachagua. That is number one. Number two, they are saying that Gachagua, I don't know, it is not, he's an Aonewa, it is not fair for him. It is that same Gachagua has been speaking in every rally that he finds himself to say how Mount Kenya, Murima is Ishikwe, how the Murima is the most important place. Shareholders is the one who talked about it. You should learn to take responsibility over what you say. You can't tell me someone said here is a 59 years old. He's naive about saying that we have the shareholding business. How come that now he comes to say that we are going, first of all, to sort the people who voted for this government? Was it too naive to imagine that that statement could anger some people? That how come that when we go during elections, we go to vote for a government, we don't go to vote for Murima or wherever. When that government comes into power, it should serve everybody. These people are not pointing out those times when Gachagua has said numerously that he is only representing the Murima people. I mean, we should be able to be honest with ourselves, even as you're trying to be emotionally attached to the woes that he's facing. You need also to remember that at the time that he was at his peak, he did not become sensitive to other people. I want to remind Mburu and the rest that the other day when this thing was coming, he was all over the rooftops of cars and he didn't go anywhere else. He went only to Central. If indeed he enjoyed the support across the country, why didn't he go to Mombasa to tell them that I'm facing this and sitaki kutishwa? Now that umetishwa, now you are busy, buying into emotionality of Kenyans and even going to pray that, oh, God will sort this out. I don't think that is true. I also don't agree with Mburu saying that, because they are not agreeing. Yes, if you're married, your wife can hold a different opinion. It's one thing for your wife to have a different opinion than you, and it's another for your wife to come and contradict you in front of your children. If that happens, you have lost your credibility as a couple. The moment you come and you are speaking at cross purposes with your spouse or your wife, you come and say this, and then your wife say, no, that is not what we agreed. You are going against this. That indeed itself, a point. I think even Mburu being a pastor, he should be able to point that out. I think Mburu is a pastor. And if you come and see a couple that one person is saying this, it's one thing for you to disagree in your own self at the bedroom. And it's another for you to communicate the disagreement to the public. It was wrong. It was insubordination for even the deputy president to say what Mburu is saying. That we agreed we are going to protect these people. Why are we? You're already throwing your principle under the bus. And that in itself, Gachagua had unfettered access to the president. They could meet at a place and tell him, this is not right. Even appear with the president. But now at the time of crisis, he says now he wants to come and paint himself as the better one. That you guys, whatever decision you're making is wrong, I'm the one who knows that is wrong. It's okay for him to have his opinion, but how he expresses it was meant to achieve a certain goal. In politics, things don't just happen. Fine. Another thing, Bonnie, if you allow me. There's this thing that Mburu is saying, they were voted together with the president. So there's this mass. I mean, then we don't need an impeachment clause to impeach a deputy president. Because if they are voted together and we can't remove any of them, then why do we have the clause? The clause is alive of the fact that when you are going there together, in fact, Gachagua was not voted by people. Gachagua was selected by the president. He is not elected, he is elected. That is one thing that he needs, or any deputy coming into office needs to be aware. He is elected. And if indeed he brought people to the president's, basket, then it was the president. You see, the president will still have achieved the same by selecting any other person. So this idea that because they were selected together, now they cannot be there joined to the hip, that's not constitutional. That's a propaganda that is being pushed to achieve a certain end. He was selected by the president, and the constitution is aware of that. That's why you can impeach the president and you can impeach the deputy president. If an impeachment motion came for the president, it will not be the president and the deputy. If you read the constitution, it says that if the president is impeached, the deputy takes over. If assuming Ruto was being impeached today, would we say that he needs to go with the deputy? We wouldn't say that because that's not constitutional. So as much as we make emotional appeals to twist the mind of people, must stick to the truth. If you guys say that you want to stick to the truth, stick to the truth. The truth is he was elected by the president. He can be impeached by his own. Finally, Bonnie, for me to land it, this is both a political and a legal process. Now, anytime you have political processes, you'll have people who are not satisfied. For example, in an election, you are probably a president who is elected by many, but there are people who feel that this is not the best president that we wanted. You see, that's how it works. Democracy works that way. You'll never reach a point where everyone is conclusively satisfied. You must allow the constitution to proceed. You'll always feel like this was not the best president, this was not the best person lost, the best team won. That is how democracy works. This was a political process. Now, political process means what? By the time you have the numbers, you must have the numbers. It doesn't need to be convincing or not. You must have the numbers. Did the deputy president make friends within the... He knew that these were political questions. He should have been aware that this thing will go to the floor of the House. Will I have people to vote for me? He should have made friends with some of the MPs. Because it's a political process. Even when it goes to the Senate, it is a political process. Has he tried to make friends across the aisle so that they can see, let's vote for this thing? It's a quasi-judicial at the Senate. And it is true that even if he's going to seek his redress at the courts, it will be after it has finished its processes in Parliament. He can only go and get redress after it has finished its process. It has got the full life. Parliament has finished its work. Senate has finished his work. Then he goes with the decision. Then he goes to seek his redress to the court, which is okay. I mean, all lawyers will always tell you there's a chance. Because definitely right now, lawyers have to eat some of your money. You can't go with all that money home. Lawyers will tell you, even when you see clearly there's nothing that's going to happen here, they'll tell you there's a chance that this can happen so that you can eat that a part of your money with them. Whatever billions they're talking about is a lot of money to allow Gachagua to just go like that. Because if he resigned today and said that I'm not pursuing this, many lawyers will kind of lose the money. I mean, even some of the business that they want. But for me, we don't care whether there's a chance. We cannot say. It's up to the court to decide, to adjudicate. The court will decide. Whatever the court decides, for me, I'm pro-democracy, pro-constitutionalism. If it goes through the Senate makes its decision. Then it goes to if he wants to go to court, he goes to court. If I were him, for purposes of my political processes, I would resign today. I would resign, and then of course I'll have a chance to now pursue my dreams in politics for another time. I would now go ahead and say, okay, fine, I have these damning reports and things against this government. I would now start working against them. It is also very interesting that what we are progressing is the idea, the country is in tension. It is very interesting that now when it comes, a certain political mass is creating a perceived tension. We are in tension now, we have stopped, now the country is divided. Yet someone has said here, I think Mzalendo, that the only place you find there's tension is pockets of Central. The other country is relaxed. The other parts of the country are trying to see where do we go from here. But now we are coming to say as if the country is becoming to a standstill because of Gachagua. Let Gachagua carry his political cross. Let him move through the process. If he succeeds, fine. If he doesn't succeed, he moves on. His life, after all, is a billionaire. His life will still continue going on, whichever the case. So for me, I disagree with those who are saying that is a distraction. I also don't think, yes, there are politicians who have a good heart. It's good to help. But that for me is not a reason for me to elect you into leadership. Leadership is not about whether you are going to help me or not. Leadership is about whether you are going to progress good policies that is going to benefit everybody. It's not whether I know you or not. I don't have to know you as a politician. I just want to feel that the policies that are being created are responding well to me. I don't have to know you. You don't have to come visit me. You don't have to do that. I mean, those Those are just political scores that people try to score, but I don't think that is the measure of a good leader. Thank you, buddy.
So much, Demba, for that. Buru, do you have to respond on what Demba said?
Thank you. Themba has really mentioned me several times, and it is good that you have noticed I should give my rebuttal. First of all, I want to say there is no offense by the deputy president mentioning Mount Kenya. Themba seems to be one of those people who feel uncomfortable with some communities. At the end of the day, we say charity begins at home. The deputy president, on very few occasions, has he talked about Mount Kenya. But because there are many people who feel threatened by the unity of Mount Kenya, they feel uncomfortable with the deputy president whenever he says that Mount Kenya should remain united. And we know politics is all about interest. And if there are people who voted or Gachagua brought the votes, he didn't bring the votes from Mombasa or Kisii. Gachagua brought the votes from Mount Kenya. So when he tells the Mount Kenya people, because of tomorrow, you still need to be united so that we can rally the support behind where we can benefit. I don't think there is any problem. If anything, Raila Odinga has largely been a political leader from Nyanza, and he is largely supported from where he comes from. William Ruto is supported from Rift Valley to a large extent, and that is our politics. But we try to behave like we don't know that in Kenya communities vote basing on regions. That is the truth. Gachagua, being a politician, he was just a one-term member of parliament. He had not entered in the hearts of the central Kenya people. And that is what he has been trying to do, to reach the level of becoming someone who has a strong, what we can say, a strong base, political base. Not that he has been doing that to the detriment of other communities. I've never heard Gachagua talk anything ill against another community. Unlike what the former prime minister used to do. He would talk about Mount Kenya negatively and talk about our community negatively, talk about Kuyus negatively. Gachagua has never attacked any community. To that extent, being a first-time member of parliament, I say this is someone who should be commended. He is also lacking some basic experiences here and there, but he has really tried even to be where he is. You have made a very serious allegation about Gachagua killing his people. I would like you to show Kenyans that evidence that you have, because that is a typical lie. I don't know where you got it. You said there is an evidence. It's good you take that, or you even bring that evidence here so that we can scrutinize whether what you are saying is something you know, or you are just someone who just hears propaganda and you run away with it. That is very unfortunate, such kind of allegation in the media. You have talked about the shareholder statement that was made by the deputy president. That when he was talking about shareholders, he was saying that the central Kenya should get more share than other communities. Themba, I wish you can do your research and do your homework thoroughly. And if you can go back, you will see that statement Gachagua never made it even in central Kenya, or he was not even talking to the Kikuyu community. He was somewhere in the Rift Valley. And it's a statement that he made on a very right note. And he was trying to tell those people remain where the government is, so that you can have the privileges that those who support the government get. And that is common sense, that when when a certain region has supported the government and that government wins the general elections, there is a possibility when it comes to the appointments, they are likely to get some people from there are getting those jobs, not just the communities. The people who support the government, when it comes to the appointments, they are the ones who are considered more. And that happens even in the United States of America, or even in the developed community or the developed world. Right now, if Trump becomes the president, the people who are supporting him, the people who believe in his agenda, the people who believe in him, the people who are likely to support him to achieve and to perform, those are the people who will be appointed. That is basically what the deputy president said. But the enemies, the political enemies, and those who feel very uncomfortable with the star of the deputy president shining, they decided to distort that information to make it look like it was a negative statement that he was making. And Bonnie, I would like you to get that statement, to listen to the people, because he was not talking to the entire nation. Listen to the people he was talking to. He was not referring to the Central Kenya region. And I want to ask you, because you have said that the deputy president should not differ with the president. Did you support the killings that happened to our young people because you feel like the deputy president did very wrong? If anything, as a father, he was bitter to see how the young people were brutalized, how the young people disappeared. Up to date, we cannot trace them. To see how, yet they had promised Kenya they will never do that. To see how the young people were being kidnapped. To see how the government is evicting people in an inhuman way. Yet they had said they will never do that. Demba, before Baba joined the Ruto government, you were criticizing every evil and every mistake of the government. But now you are in the point of see no evil, hear no evil, because the one you support has joined the government. That is why there is nothing negative you can say about the government of William Ruto. You are just as unfair to the people, just like Baba and Ruto. People who, when they are out there, they will say everything that is evil, they will call it evil. But when they join the government, they keep quiet and they start praising everything, and even what it can be seen outrightly that this is wrong, they will never say it. They will continue to cover it, so that, I don't know, how are you going to benefit now that Baba is in government? There is no way. So I would ask you to continue being critical to the government just like you have been. Don't change now. Don't be happy that now Gachagua is going and you think by Gachagua going, maybe the ones you support are going to have more stake or are going to benefit more. No. All what I'm saying is that the process and the reasons that have been tabled are not strong enough to warrant the impeachment of this guy. If anything, the leaders that are in government, they have done worse. And my question, the question I've been asking, when will this government settle and concentrate with the most important things of building the nation? When will we stop this? Like now, there was no battle, there was no war. It doesn't matter who becomes the deputy president next. It will not even make any difference. But the time we'll have wasted as a country, we will never recover it. And that is what I'm saying. We should focus with the most important things. What Ruto is doing is just to distract Kenyans, and the people who are supposed to help Kenyans, they're not talking about it. Thank you.
Boni amelala.
No, thank you, Buru. You have talked something that is very sensitive. And I think Themba, you have been asked a question there by Buru. And before you respond, I want Kenya Revolutionary to just add some things and also maybe weigh on what Buru has said. And
Yeah, I'll be brief before Themba goes on. Am I clear, Nani? Can you hear me, Bonnie?
yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah. For those who are saying there were only pockets of tension in this country, I don't think that's true, or pockets in tension in Central Province. That's not accurate. Let's remember, let's not forget what happened on June 25th. If you can remember, we almost had a popular revolution. There was growing feeling that Ruto was heading to a wrong place, taking this country, running it down. Okay? And the people stood up and they were more so mad at the parliamentarians because of the finance bill. And we saw what happened. I don't need to rehash what happened. But if you remember, those people, there were even calls for people to go to State House and remove Ruto. And that one brought him to a panic, a serious panic. And from then on, you could see how he was doing everything to make sure that, he was making, sorry guys, he was making sure that, sorry guys, he was making sure that, let me finish. He was making sure that nothing comes close to that January, sorry, 25th, September 25th happens again. Now, one way of doing it was to start this impeachment thing with Gachagua, which will draw a lot of attention. If you know, he was suspecting that majority of the top business people from Central Province were behind the financing of the Gen Z movement. That was his suspicion. And you saw why he was going for people like Jimmy Wanjigi and so forth, okay? And this terrified the political class. That's why you see Raila Odinga, forgot about, dropped everything. He was on his way to Ethiopia and he dropped everything and went back and, joined Ruto. And he used his goons to start disrupting any kind of political protestation in the streets by intimidating the young folks. Okay, so Ruto was working hard and he was clamping down on anyone who he deemed to be a leader or had any kind of influence that could influence another, popular protest, to remove him. Because after that, remember, everyone was talking about Ruto must go. So the tension was already high, and the tension was mostly frustration from Kenyans who wanted Ruto to go, until he brought in Raila Odinga, who, by the fact that he did that, he got himself a breathing room by bringing a bunch of maybe staunch Raila supporters, because Raila comes from Nyanza, so he has some support there. And, Hassan Joho and Wakina Nani, who we brought in government that way. Can someone, yes. Themba, can you mute? Yeah. So that way he can rope some other tribes to be on his side. Then now you see with this Gachagua thing, he's also trying to bring division by ostracizing the Central Province, Mount Kenya region. You have the Ichungwa faction who are not popular, but then you have, the ground who people who don't like it, the Wamuchombas who are now gaining fame. Okay, so you can see that. Then you bring in the Morara, who is trying to prop up as a leader. So you can see how he's destroying Kenyans from coming together and focusing on removing him. That's why people like us, like me, let me just say me to be exact, I was all for this idea of being tribeless, leaderless, and partyless. And let's join hands as Kenyans and remove this regime. Not only Ruto, but Gachagua and the entire executive branch and the legislative branch. I think we had that debate here with them, so I want to bring it again. But that was the point. So this whole argument about talking about Gachagua and whatever, I'm just highlighting the ridiculous nature of the grounds in which they want to remove him. But all in all, I don't have any sympathy with Gachagua. Just like people say, in fact, majority of Kenyans are saying, even in Central Province, say, kama nani anaenda, if the Makanga is going, also the Reva pia ende, even the mechanic who's Raila Odinga, all of them needs to go, not only Gachagua. But no one is defending Gachagua here. I mean, I know Jeff Mburu is, I understand because, he paid him a visit while he was in mourning. So I understand why you feel how you feel. But in reality, like Themba, and as much as I hate agreeing with Themba, Gachagua is, he's part of the problem, just like Raila and all of them. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. That is Kenya revolutionary. So I want Themba. You have been mentioned severally here by Buru, Kenya revolutionary. Maybe you can add something on it.
Yeah, definitely I can. The problem with sometimes debating, is that people now move from attacking the idea and attacking the person. Now, Buru has made some allegation. I mean, he said that I have alleged about the DO, that is Gachagua, presiding over a process that saw the killing of some Kikuyus during the Nyayo regime at Limuru. I mean, if Muru is not aware of that information, it's public information. You can get it if you want. I mean, it was all over the media, so it's not something you can miss. I don't make wild allegations. My points are well researched and well thought out. So you will not find me engaging in propaganda. As opposed to your guy, that is Gachagua, he is a propaganda person. And one of the propaganda that he has progressed so far is the propaganda that he's a truthful man. And you have bought it too, that Gachagua is a truthful man. He is not a truthful man. He will never be a truthful man. He is not a truthful man. And if you are agreeing that the regime is not doing well, why would you therefore say the regime is not doing well, but you are busy protecting Rigathi Gachagua, who is part of the regime? If you are, the hypocrisy is that you are coming out saying, when will this government start to work? Rigathi is part of that government. Where Kenya Revolutionary is saying that they need to go, both of them. Then now you are rising and saying that no, Rigathi is a good person. It is not the time for him to go. It's the time for us to work. It was time for them to work 2 years ago. And I can't submit, Mburu. I choose not to go to the point of attacking the person choices based on what they want to achieve out of their views. But I attack the idea. I do not agree with the idea that Gachagua is a truthful man. I do not agree with the idea that Gachagua is even good for Central. I do also not agree that the moment he became the deputy president, whatever he says, wherever he says it, it's not about, he was not saying it to this is what he meant. If you must explain it, then there's a problem as a leader. A leader should be saying things that he doesn't need to explain. They are very clear what he's saying. You don't have to say things that you have to keep explaining, where now Mburu is also struggling to explain that this is what he meant. We don't want to struggle, first of all, with our issues as Kenyans. We want food on our table. We are busy trying to understand what you are saying. Say your things clearly. Say what you mean clearly. But if you have to come explaining it and struggle with so much, like 2 hours, take a whole 2 hours to explain why you are not a tribalist, then there's a problem as a leader. So Mburu, it didn't mean that Gachagua, when he left and went to a particular place, he stopped being the deputy president of the country called Kenya. Whether he's speaking in Mombasa, whether he's speaking in Nyeri, whether he's speaking, wherever he's speaking, he still has the tag of the deputy president of the country called Kenya. And is a deputy president of the people in Meru, the deputy president of the people in Nyanza, the deputy president of the people all over the country. But I want to put you to your own defense. You realize that the deputy president, when he was facing the impeachment, he didn't go to Western. He didn't go to Nyanza. He went to his people. Just like there's this guy who wanted to be impeached, then he went to Kipipiri, and said that I'll rather die than resign. There's that tendency of the politicians that whenever they are faced with a problem, now they go back to wipe up the emotions of the masses. That now mtu wetu anachokozwa. And that is what is happening. That's the propaganda that we normally engage in. That when a politician is getting his own power, he does it. But now when his power is threatened, it goes to tell people that all of you are now threatened, our people. How many people benefit directly from the salary that he draws as a deputy president? It is on his family, not the whole of people of Central Kenya. How many people are employed? You have said something that I also want us to get away. If you say it's common, then that common sense should not be common anymore. We do not want people to go to an election imagining that once you have elected a person, it is only those people who are going to be served. That is only people from Central that will be served because they have elected that person. That is wrong. And if that sense is common, then we need to remove that sense so that we bring another sense that will be common, that once you get into a position of power, whatever the means you get there, you should serve everybody, no matter how they voted. That is what happens in the developed countries, economies like the US. You may hire your people that you campaign with, but you're not going to serve your people that you campaign with. You are going to serve all the electorates, no matter how they voted. And you cannot say that at a position that you are as a leader, then you say that we are only going to give to certain people first. That is wrong at his position. And whatever I wonder how you guys are imagining that he did no wrong, And if that argument goes to every part of the leadership, you can imagine the kind of a country we are trying to bequeath the next generation. We need to bequeath a country that is devoid of all these issues we are calling tribalism, all this ethnicity. A democracy where election is just a process of getting leaders. It's not a way of making sure that it's only these people who are going to eat. And Mburu is of that opinion out of his submission, that he says it is common sense that only those people who voted are the ones who are supposed to be. So those people who voted as Kenya Kwanza are the only ones who are supposed to be gaining. The people who voted for Azimio and the rest should not gain. I think if that is a common sense, then it shouldn't be common anymore. We need to find another sense that can be common. And that's where I think even those people who are progressing, the Gen Z, were trying to say that we need not bring a situation where when you go to vote, you're imagining that if this person doesn't come in, then you lose for 5 years and you wait for another 5 years before you get that position. Elections are just a way of getting leaders. It shouldn't be the end in itself. That is what Gachagua didn't care. And indeed, you agree that he was kind of naive in his progress on some issues, That's why he kept on talking loosely. I'm also surprised that you are saying that it is not wrong for him to be in a counter communication with the president. I didn't say also that they shouldn't have divergent view. But if you had me right, I said it's one thing to disagree with what your boss is saying, but it's another to air it in public. It's one thing for your wife to disagree with what you're saying, but it's another for her to bring it in front of your children. That is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that it's wrong for him to hold his view. Another thing also, if he is diametrically in disagreement with his president, the best thing you can do to a union like that is resign. I do not agree with how you guys are killing. I do not agree with how you guys are doing this policy. I do not agree. That means, therefore, you are not in places where decisions are being made. And the more you have gotten into a point where you are not in a position where decisions are being made, then it shows that you are an outsider in that government. Then the best you can do to that system is to walk out of that system. But since he can't resign, we are helping him. I'm not defending the regime. I didn't vote for it, Mburu. I'm not defended, and in no place have you found me saying that the regime is doing well. I've not said that. I've not defended Ruto. I've not defended the Kenya Kwanza regime. You will not hear me do that. But I'm here to defend democracy. If democracy is working and it is answering this question, then we need to defend that. I'm here to say it is wrong to go back and wipe up people's emotion, telling them that, you know, when I'm elected, it is all of us who are elected. But who draws the salary? He draws the salary himself. The policies that the government comes with is what benefits us. But if he's fighting the policy of the government that he's fighting, that is in, then it is time for him also to go. So that the government, whatever policies they are making, he gets people that are going to work. For me, if the democracy is that the constitution is being implemented, is working, that's okay. It doesn't matter who is in the regime. And we should reach a point where it doesn't matter who is in leadership. Are they following the constitution? Anytime the constitution is not being followed, for me, I don't think it's right. I don't agree. Yes, I agree with the revolutionary who did not follow the constitution. There are many times that it didn't. This government, this regime too, when it came, the first thing, they withdrew all the cases against everybody, including this Gachagua, the 200 million. So we should stand for the truth. Not that now it's Gachagua, now we are saying that he should not be touched. He should be let to be free. Or he's being targeted. Or we should, there's many more things that are facing the country. I don't think so. And I don't think I will buy that for now. For now, Gachagua should let the processes of the constitution move on and go to the end. I land it there for now. I'll be here listening.
All right. Thank you, Themba. I mean, I've been here for a while. I'm just listening, and I don't want you to step out. And because I've got a friend of mine who was listening on the background. He has a word or two. He's an elder. He has believed he has met Gachagua. He has seen the violence in Kenya. He has got a different perspective from all of us. What we are saying, Reverend, can you say something?
Oh, you want me to say something?
Yeah, say something about it. You just told me some stories that people didn't even know. Hmm?
Well, I wasn't there since the beginning of the debate, so I don't know what it has transpired. But my name is Reverend James Njoroge.
Mhm.
One or two things I've heard from my brother Mburu and some of the others have spoken. That I can only summarize by saying Gachagua is not innocent. And I'm speaking from experience. And we have, it's not innocent blood or property of others. As a headman of the late President Moi, and a very close workhorse of that president. Some of us suffered a lot with all the ADPs that you can name. Let me just give only one example I've just given to my brother. During the Gashagua's reign at Lodiani and areas like Bomet and Longroni, my sister and I, my older sister who brought me here, we lost 10 acres of land, 5 acres of land, 4 plots, one other plot that we had built, a restaurant, a shop, a butchery, and a store where we help people with mitumba. Use the mitumba out, and they needed a place to keep them for the next day. And many of them, especially those that would not have sold anything, we didn't even charge them anything because they were trying to make a living. My sister almost died. She was the last person to leave Olonguruoni. You remember during those Korean michelets imported from Korea. My sister was saved by an askari, Bandio. That was the time when it was being waited for the DO, the district officer, to leave the area, and lawlessness begins. Because when the DO is present and his askaris, questions will arise. Why? And she was saved by a DO's askari ambaye alimwambia Mama John, go and enter into that Land Rover over there, ujifiche, ujifunike. Ifika Elbagon, ushuke pole pole, kwa sababu sasa wewe you are the last Kikuyu in this area na utakufa. I may sound tribal, but that is my personal experience. Up to today, you all know that ADP in places like Gorongoroni, we have never had our farms that we bought, we were not given. We have never had them back. We tried with Nyaga, the minister before, during his time as a minister. We even put him on a panel here in the US to explain some of those things. Where are the ADP people going to go? And many of you know. You tell me which ADPs have been given an alternative land in this country. So I'm a living example of saying Gachagua is not innocent. He was heavily involved. And when my brother, the last one you just talked, when you say Gachagua went to his people, my question is, which is his people? And I've just told my brother here, I'm Kikuyu who is in Nyeri, speaks Kikuyu. I'm Kikuyu who is in Eldoret, who has some land there in Eldoret or who has settled in Eldoret. Maybe he speaks Kalenjini kwa kujifundisha, but his language is Kikuyu. So which people he went? And I'm questioning that very well. So I am not advocating impeachment of a vice president in the way some of it is. But I'm advocating. My position is to advocate a national dialogue. A national dialogue, because Gachagua is a vice president for this nation. And when he goes into the eloquence of my people in the mountain, when you have been voted by national vote, a vote of Kenya, that's not right. That's not right. And I was listening to Boro when you say that he goes to his people, every leader should speak for his people. That is true. Ruto does. But with the position of a president or a vice president, you need to be very careful what you say, because your position is very different from a member of parliament or a particular constituency. Can another person from another tribal group become a vice president? Definitely, and they should. So the dialogue, I've had some of it saying that if Gachagua goes, unless Ruto gets somebody else from the mountain, it's going to be, why? We are Kenyans, whether we are in Kisumu or in Nyeri or wherever. Leaders are there. So I kind of sum that with saying it is a high time. If we are not learning from our own children who are mixed in their demonstrations and in a city, you find the Leluos there, you find the Kalenjin, and they are not, these young people, our sons and our daughters, they're not looking at each other from the tribe. They're looking at each other as national. And it is a high time that we learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend. I don't think I've got anything to add from that, unless you have any question for Reverend James. You heard it, that these people are one and the same. And the tension between Gachagua and Ruto started a long time ago. That's what I've learned today. It is not something that started just after the. It started with the Moi days. These people were rivals. I mean, you can tell us a story about that.
Yes.
How Gachagua and Ruto were rivals with Moi.
Moi was trying all the time. In fact, many times he came to speak to us in road comments areas and some other. The choice between Ruto and Gachagua was very hard for both. Because they were right. Each one of them was loyal. To him.
Wow.
And the issue was that when Gachagua leaves the administration, which he was very, very faithful and loyal, he would do anything for Moi, that he was going to be, in fact, at that time, he was going to take Jenga. You know, Jenga, the MP for Molo. This time he was going to take that position.
Jenga Mungai.
Yeah.
On Jenga Mungai.
Because Jenga was very quiet. No, these ADPs. Jenga never spoke. And Gachagua was eyeing that position. Moi would have given Gachagua free of charge. Not even with election, as a nominated member.
Wow.
But, there was this other young man by the name of our president. Was also very loyal. Remember, even when those crashes happened in the Moro South Road, one of the vehicles that was caught up in going to the plane, those chariots was Ruto's. That is not a rumor monger. It was even in the news. If you people remember those days.
Wow.
So some of us are still imagine the children during the ADP, like I would call in the areas of which had very good schools. The children that never went were out from the schools and now came to areas of the Wagon and Joro and never went to school. Those children never went to any other. Imagine how they grew. Today, they are the people that are answering and even becoming bad guys because they never experienced anything else different from except
they were displaced.
Yeah. Because of austerity, everything else. You also remember, even those that are in Nairobi, don't you remember even the little tent that by Pauli Basilica in Nairobi?
Yeah.
With the bishop, the radical bishop. When you dig or whatever.
And Dingy Mwananzik.
Some of them were housed there. In El Bago, you go to El Bago, behind the Presbyterian church, another big church. There were all those little tents that were there.
Mzalendo, I wish the speaker can be more closer to the mic. We hear a lot of voice
I'm sorry.
You can hear him now?
Boro.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, well, I'm done. I'm done. I just wanted to chip in because I wasn't there at the beginning of the debate. So I don't know even whether I'm addressing what you guys.
Yeah, we were hearing you. We were hearing you, but the voice was fluctuating a lot. Sometimes we could hear, sometimes the voice goes down. And
but you specifically, but you got my point.
Somehow, yes.
Thank you, Boro. It's good to hear from you.
Thank you. Mzalendo Boni is not with us.
Yeah, you are moderating.
Who?
You yourself.
No, I'm almost retiring, but before I do the moderation, I wanted to just make some few remarks.
Yeah.
And I'll base these remarks based on the the sentiments of my good friend here, Mr. Themba, that I'm not just trying to pick us to keep on back and forth, but it's good to try to understand each person's perspective. And I want to say this: most Kenyans, maybe they don't know what is happening between Gachagua and the president and the impeachment. But what I want you to understand is that the big problem between the big problem is not the president per se. Gashagua's problem emanates from some leaders in central Kenya who feel that this guy is becoming so popular and we need to cut his legs. They never thought, they knew he is an ambitious guy, because from the first time in parliament, the next thing he said is that he want to deputize the president. That is someone who is very ambitious. And that is why the leaders from central Kenya, they never wanted Gachagua. They knew he has the zeal, he is eloquent, and he is very ambitious, and he also have the courage of taking leadership. They didn't want Ruto to be deputized by someone with a strong personality and by someone who has enough money for campaign. That is why they had proposed Gachagua. But they also underestimated the strength of this guy. But when he became the deputy president, he started solidifying his political base, which is central Kenya. Great celebrity of our leaders comes from where they come from. And Gachagua, aware of that, he decided that he is going to work very hard so that he can solidify the votes from central Kenya. Then after central Kenya, you have seen he had already started penetrating Rift Valley, which was making the president very uncomfortable. And I have heard you say that he has been concentrating so much, and not just you, but many Kenyans. They follow what the politicians say, but our politicians are very good in lying. They are also very good in distorting information. And Gachagua has been in almost every county. When he is in other places, they don't talk more about it. When he talks about unity of the country, nobody picks that. But the few mistakes when he has slipped and has said something that is not very appropriate, that is what they get. And that is what they run away with. And I want to say, because Themba spoke about it, that I still say it's very unfortunate. I was following when people said in Limuru that Gachagua, there is something Gachagua did there when he was DO. And in that clip, the people, the eyewitnesses, some of them, and those things, remember, they cropped up during the political campaign. So we might not be certain what really happened. Nobody said that people died, but people were beaten up in one of the rallies. But going to the extent of saying that Gachagua killed his own people without substantiating, without giving us concrete evidence, to me, I would say it is somehow reckless, for lack of a better word, because there are some allegations we can just draw in the media, but some of them are very serious. And that is why I would have wished Themba to be here to talk about that more. And as I said, Themba did not dispute that the deputy president, when he talked about shares, he was not referring to Central Province. He was just telling people how the government works. And that is why some of these positions, they are there for politicians, like the cabinet secretaries. They reward those people who work with them. And sometimes politicians talk like that to show people, you see, one of your own is in government. Whereas sometimes it doesn't help us, the common electorate. When Gachagua is a deputy president, I don't know how that helps me as Buru. When someone from Central Kenya has been appointed as a cabinet secretary, in most cases, they don't help people specifically. But Kenyans, because we have this tribal view of things, we feel, oh, one of our own is a deputy president, one of our own is a prime minister, one of our own is, that is Kenya, which is okay. With time, it will change. Mzalendo, I would want you to ask yourself, why do you think after the ODM or Raila Odinga joined government, some of his allies were appointed in government? That is also an aspect of government operating like a company, whereby when you have a contribution, that is when your people are considered in certain, not in all. Like now in Kenya, we have devolution. Nobody can say certainly that Gachagua meant, because I have heard what Themba was saying, that Gachagua meant, or I said, I don't know who said that the government should not consider those who did not vote for it. I never said that. I only elaborated that there are certain positions, especially their appointive positions, that are given to people who believe in your agenda as the president or as the government. But you cannot give some positions to people who will sabotage you. That is basically what Gachagua was saying. And it's good to be honest. And finally, I want to say this. When they wanted to crucify Jesus, they decided we are going to look for mystics. We have to look for mystics, allegations. But they could not find any. But finally, they just cooked allegations. They took them to the king. And if the king could not see the mystic, they insisted that the guy is guilty. When they wanted to kill Daniel, they said, let us look for mystics. And when they could not find any, they said, let us look for him in the way he worships his God. When they wanted to finish Ruto politically, they looked for cases. They looked for everything he has ever done. And finally, they also had to look for a tag which is selling. Oh, calling him a thief, it was selling to the people. And they ran away with that tag. They called Ruto thief, 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 though Kenyans still refused and voted for him. So when these politicians from Central Kenya wanted to finish Gachagua because they are so uncomfortable to see how he is rising in Central Kenya, they looked for mystics, but they said, now, what are we going to do? Oh, we are going to tag him as tribal. And Gachagua, no matter how much he has tried to run away from the tribal tag, they always follow him. But it doesn't mean that they are going to succeed. So the enemies of Gachagua are not people from outside Central Kenya. There are leaders in Central Kenya who have a vision. In future, they want to become big, and they feel like this guy is becoming bigger than they expected. And they are wondering, what are we going to do to make sure we stop him? So sometimes when Gachagua speaks in the native language, they even go to the president to interpret for him. This is what he meant. This is what he was saying. And that is why I was advising the president. Be very careful with these people from Central Kenya. They will even mislead you. They will misguide you so that you can kick away your deputy. And then at the end of the day, if there was someone who was very honest, even to the president, someone who was praising the president, someone who was very open and guiding the president the right way, is the same guy who is being beaten by these other leaders. So it is not everything that is said by politicians is accurate. We should be very careful. Sometimes they are very misleading. The same politicians were deceiving Uhuru Kenyatta. The people are with you, but what was the aim? Was to eat his money. But they knew people had already left and Uhuru was almost alone. So Ruto should be very careful with those who are telling him your political ground is still solid, people are still behind you. I can tell the president, just take risk, kick away Gachagua, but you have to forget the support that you got from Central Kenya. Because the bitterness on the ground, and I'm speaking this because I'm already on the ground. I'm in Kiambu right now. Yesterday I was in Murang'a. I can tell you the bitterness in the ground is too much because they see Ruto as a betrayer. That is what I can say for now. And let me give them some 5 minutes. Because of time and tomorrow I'm having a very busy day, we can have 5 minutes and final remarks. And tomorrow we meet the same place. After Demba, we have Mzalendo, final remarks. And then we're going to close the show. Thank you, Demba. Take your time. Oh, Demba has disappeared. Mzalendo, you can give your final remarks.
No, I can only say this. Ambition has two sides in it. There's positive ambition and there's negative.
Yes.
Positive ambition is the one that helps others. Or good ambition helps others. And in most cases, does not harm anyone. That's a pure definition of positive ambition. Negative ambition disrupts your own life and is negative towards even other people and hurts. Now, which one would you give Gachagua?
Good question. Which one would you give Gachagua?
Zalendo.
Yeah, Themba, you want to say something? I wanted to finalize then.
Can I speak before I get thrown out? I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that great discussion we've had. Of course, I do not agree with Mburu in largely most of the stuff that he said. I don't agree with what he's saying about Gachagua becoming popular on the ground. I think that's a lot of propaganda being created to fit into that narrative. I also don't agree with the idea that he's being fought because he's getting popular. I don't agree with that, but we'll keep debating that. However, I think we can always agree that for the better of Kenya, we can always have this discourse and keep holding our institutions into account. Let us run away from the temptation to push for our leaders simply because we think they're being targeted, yet it's all political machinations to achieve their own end, not for the common mwananchi. I think Mburu has admitted the idea that he is sympathetic to Gachagua, but that not being said, I think it is important for us to appreciate that institutions should be led to work. The Senate should be led to move on and execute its responsibility. To have day, that's how we that state is a nation. And again, we still whichever way the process goes. Thank you so much, Zalendo. Thank you, Buru.
Thank you very much, Member, for that short submission. Mine, I just wanted to say that Gachagua was an opportunity to make a difference in his personal political journey as he continues to solidify the votes in the mountain. His ability to solidify the votes in the mountain is now more greater ambition than what he had in the beginning. So, for issues of accountability and transparency, I think he has a date with the court. The court will look at his record and what has been submitted. If he's found guilty, then he will have a date with the Senate, and the Senate of Kenya will give the people of Kenya justice and Gachagua himself. They can be exonerated with the Senate, and the courts can also see that the charges are flimsy. But what I had said earlier around the grounds of, as much as Gachagua is guilty of so many other things that we don't agree upon, but the ground and the haste to impeach him was done in a hurry, and it ought to have gone through the committees of the House to discuss his conduct. If it's a matter of theft or graft or misconduct, there are so many committees in the House that can summon the DCI to investigate his properties and all that, how he acquired them, but not let it not come from just an MP who was not done thorough investigation into the matter and submit it, and then you subject somebody to lose his whole career. It can happen to you and me when we are serving that. So some of these things on some of the debates that we debate here also informs the general public on what is important for us as a nation and the rule of law and justice. You know, I could be guilty, but I need a fair hearing. And Gachagua also, as much as he's guilty, he needs a fair chance to represent himself, either in court or in the Senate. So, having said that, Gachagua has got a leadership potential as a kingmaker, or he has got a leadership potential to steer the country in the right direction. He has learned his lessons that he is a national leader. Should he be spared of the impeachment, then he comes out stronger and now will be able to articulate the agenda of the Republic of Kenya and not the agenda of the Mount Kenya people. Otherwise, thank you very much. Back to you, Mboro.
Thank you very much, Mzalendo, for your submission. And with that, I don't know if Bemba has something to add before we close the show.
Just 1 minute. I think Mzalendo, maybe because Mburu has to go and has to rest, as Sisi Tuko Kuju, we need to be sensitive to him. But I need to point out, whatever you're suggesting in terms of, I don't know, committee going to investigate and doing all that. Remember the process in the assembly, it's not a criminal investigation. There are two things that probably you need to understand is the balance of probability. It is not beyond reasonable doubt. So in the parliament, it doesn't have to be beyond reasonable doubt. In court, it's beyond reasonable doubt. But in parliament, you don't do going to investigate. And so, can I finish?
Yes, finish. Just finish. Just go ahead. I don't know why
It's just a political process. I'm breaking?
Yeah, you were breaking initially, but just go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Yes, exactly. I can hear you.
Yeah, in parliament, it is generally a perception. Is there a perception that Mzalendo was involved or engaged in a particular thing? So it doesn't have to be the beyond reasonable doubt, which is what you're suggesting. Beyond reasonable doubt is a process in court. So I can assure you that after he's been impeached, and if one of the allegation, which is probably a criminal case, he will find his day in court. He'll probably be taken to court and explain part of probably the wealth that he's supposed to have had. That is if that is pursued. But for parliament, I don't think it's supposed to be an investigation in terms of is it true, is it not true, is it what? That one is not part of parliament. Parliament is largely, is there a reason to believe that Mzalendo was engaged in corruption? If there's reason to believe, then you are impeached because of reason to believe, not because you are actually been found. After you have been found, then now that's a court, up to the court to believe, to say that, okay, we have found you that this is what you're doing, and therefore we are taking you to jail. You see? Or you're going to pay this fine. So I think that is a demarcation we need to find. We need to appreciate before we start saying it should have been investigated. It should have. That's not what the clause on impeachment envisages. The timelines are so tight that it doesn't envisage something that the parliament should not be doing the work that the courts should be doing. There should be separation of power. And parliament also is not an investigative arm. We have an investigating arm that does that, the prosecution and stuff. So here is just simply, because you see, like, for example, the companies, they say that the allegation is that he has over 22 companies that are doing business with government. So is there reason to believe that part of the reason he has created those companies? So whoever found that there's a reason to believe now, as to whether it was going to happen or not, that's a court process. That's not a parliamentary process. So I think we need to find that demarcation. But because Boru has to rest, I think we can progress it maybe because this debate is going on until after Thursday. Thank you.
Yeah, this one is going to be very, very hot. I think we'll progress it next time. But anyway, just a point of clarification is that yes, you are right, but the motion is just tabled in Parliament, but the Senate investigates. It is not a matter of court. The Senate investigates through its committee. That's why they select the 11-member team to investigate. So Parliament is just to bring the motion and to notify the Senate that indeed they have impeached the deputy president. But the real impeachment, where you are shown now the door, is the Senate, where investigation has to be done. So proper investigation, that is what I meant by Parliament investigating on the grounds of impeachment. Yeah, because in Parliament, what they do is just debate about the motion that is before them. Then they take a vote of 2/3. Then the issue is taken to the Senate. At the Senate, the senator, the speaker appoints the 11-member team to investigate Gashag, and that's what I meant. Unless it is different from my understanding, that is how it should be.
So you see that going back on what you said, Senate, even in the presidential chamber, division, doing the work that the court or the DPP and what the
Remember, you are breaking up. I think you are driving. I don't know whether you are driving. You're really breaking up. Hmm? I don't know what's wrong with your internet connection is terrible. Yeah. Anyway, Temba, I think we will have this discussion. I think we have a bigger discussion coming on Friday where we will merge both talk shows, Kenya Revolutionary, Brother Benson show, so that we can have something bigger and better every Friday. So please pass the word here on Friday. We will have a bigger discussion involving all those platforms that present their views on the internet. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for being part of Africa this evening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Those in the comment section, KK, thank you for being around. Nice to see your comments. I'm seeing you for the first time. Karibu sana Africa. Make sure this is your home. Tell your friend about Africa. Tell them to subscribe on Africa. Pass the information. Awesome. You don't disappoint most of the time. Thank you for being part of the team. We appreciate your views and some of your views that you aired is that. Let me share one of these. The impeachment numbers are overwhelming. I think anything else contrary to this is worth nothing. Thank you very much for those views. KK, what did you say about this? You said akili si nywele, obviously. I think you are referring to Kenya Revolution. I didn't see this. Next time when he sees this, he will really attack you. I know that you will not be spared. Then what did you say again? Thanks, Temba. This foolishness of glorifying thieves like Conman Gachagua, Conman Raila, Conman Ruto. Gachagua killed his own brother. That one I don't know. And we have got no evidence for that. So we will not air that and we will not be part of it. That's something that we cannot go into. Please try and be civil. If you don't have anything or any evidence about what you're saying, please don't bring such allegations here. Otherwise, thank you very much and good night.